This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Dumela Wamachetswe Matswalu. Good afternoon and welcome to Tswalu. What a beautiful scene we have out in front of us, and a lovely afternoon it is to start this sunset safari. Nice big bull giraffe. There's a few more around us. We shall be taking a look at them in the next few minutes. Lovely to see this. So welcome aboard your very own live safari in the African wild. All right, he is going about his business as he should, starting to take a little afternoon nibble, and great behavior to see a giraffe doing its thing. Because they're busy all the time, it's really entertaining to sit and watch giraffe. So very good afternoon, welcome on board here at Tswalu Kalahari. Thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon, my name is Carl, and behind camera is Morgan. Thank you very much. Thumbs up there, Morgan. Thank you very much for joining us, and what a fantastic afternoon. We have the sun out in comparison to this morning that was a little bit misty and mysterious, so to say. We've had to stop and enjoy these giraffes. We also got a wildebeest that is alarm calling because of our presence. Come on. There we go. Just expelling air out of his nasal cavity, making sure that everybody knows that he sees something, and everybody should know that he's the man. But just notifying other animals that there is something that is of importance to warn other animals about. So we are moving slowly down south, and we're going to take it very easy this afternoon. Wow. And we are going to try and find something. I'm not going to let the cat out the bag, but we're going to see if we can rope them in. And hopefully we can have a lovely afternoon with some very, very complex behavior. Beautiful clouds, and there's even more giraffe. Morgan giving us a nice view there. Look how far those ones are. There's another 2 or 3 busy browsing along that little koppie or hill, so to say. It's a beautiful afternoon. So when you guys want to know anything, if you want any questions or any comments, please don't hesitate to communicate with us. And it is very easy. If you're under 18, obviously email us on kidsequestions@wildearth.tv. And then for everybody else, head over to that website and then go to the live safari page and submit your questions right there. Anything you want to know, be sure to answer it to the best of my ability. Like a question that was asked, how many bones does a giraffe have? I still have not been able to find that piece of information. So, first question for the viewers, if you guys might know, if anybody knows, any rough figure of how many bones that large animal would have, please let me know. So more in the mix of things. Oh, there's another one. See the one on the left, with the light illuminating, it looks very, very light. These beautiful cumulus clouds rolling over us. And these animals spend a very large portion of a 24-hour cycle browsing. And a big bull like the one on the right there, on average about between 30 odd kilograms, maybe a little bit more. Mindy, yes. He is browsing on a fairly small shepherd's tree. You can see from the central part of that tree that the bark is very light in colour. That's definitely a young shepherd's tree there, if I can see correctly myself. Yep, it looks like it. But yeah, he is definitely towering over that little tree. Beautiful pattern on this bull, wow. And that wildebeest still hasn't given up. You can see those very, very illuminated ears. So at the position that giraffe is now is fantastic, because there's only one place where a giraffe doesn't have any pattern or any markings, and that is behind the ears. So when he lifts his head, especially from where the sun is now, look at how illuminated and how white those ears are. So when these animals are moving under the cover of darkness, they can actually see where other members of the herd is from those white markers. Obviously being fairly tall, their ears being a lot higher than most animals where they're set, is used as visual beacons just to keep tabs on other individuals. All the biting flies irritating him there. It's a relatively cool afternoon with that little bit of shower that we had this morning. Giraffe Girl, how fitting it comes from you. Giraffe Girl has given us an answer there, 208. I think I heard that correctly. Thank you so much, Giraffe Girl. Pretty remarkable to think about 208 bones. You'd think it'd have a lot more. But that neck consisting of only 7 vertebrae, like I've mentioned before, pretty amazing. Same amount of vertebrae as we have in our neck. And hopefully we can find one. I actually know where a giraffe carcass might be. If there's still those bones there, we will go and take a look at a vertebra from a giraffe. Giraffe passed away in the southern parts of Tswali. It died of natural causes. And obviously the bones and material will be shifted and scattered from the activity of other animals. But if one of those vertebrae are there, I would love to take a look at it with you folks. Oh, he is so angry. So fairly quiet animals. You don't hear a giraffe making a noise like this wildebeest over here. Wildebeest are very, very vocal animals, unlike a giraffe, where for a very long time people thought that giraffe were actually mute. But they are not. They do make a few sounds, like this lovely male. Yo, look at his posture. You can even see from his body posture and his behavior that this is a bull. Standing upright, very strong, at attention, and then obviously alarm calling because of our presence. Male and female alarm call. Obviously alarm call is a very widely used vocalization. And it's a very distinctive sound. You can hear it. It's short and sharp. There we go. And depending on the species of antelope, each species has its own unique alarm call. So impala also give a type of snort. If you look at kudu, they give a deep, almost barking sound. Alrighty, while we're enjoying this, let's take a look at the weather quickly.
Good afternoon, and welcome on board my vehicle. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve Fogman, joined by Sebastian Rombi on camera, and we are very excited, as always, to have you with us. Hope you're ready to jump on board for what hopes to be a very exciting afternoon. The rain seems to have stopped for now. Everything is still rather wet though, so we can't promise much, but we're going to just investigate around and see what's going on. If you have any, this is a very cool track. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it, but it's very nice to see. Sometimes you don't always see it clearly, but because of the mud, you'll be able to easily see the dew claw here on a warthog's foot, which is actually very, very cool to see. Can you see it, Sibi? Yeah. So here's an adult warthog. You can see the hoof, and there's the dew claw at the back. Now, the dew claw's purpose is to prevent the animal from digging too much into the mud so that they don't get stuck. But how cute is this? Are you ready? I'm going to show it with my Leatherman so you can see the size. There is the adult. Are you ready for the youngster? Over here. Look at him, a little cutie. Just a cute little piggy with size difference. So this is an adult youngster, and there's at least one adult, two adults, one piglet, two piglets, three piglets running down the road. So off they went in that direction. So the dew claw is something you often see in tracking books. Buffalo have got it. It's basically, if you think about the foot, these animals have gone and taken these two and they've fused them together, and that's what makes the hoof. And then the dew claw is essentially these two. I don't know actually what's happened to this third finger. It's these two fingers that have moved back up. So it's that and the two fingers higher up on what we think on the animal is the wrist. It's not actually a wrist, it's their fingers. They're walking on their nails. So ungulates, they walk on their two nails over there. And so when you see the claws, the dew claws, they're just further up on the actual tarsals of the fingers. And then you get the wrist, and then you get the arm, and then you get the upper arm. So that's why a lot of these animals are able to run as fast as they are, and they get so much more distance in their movements because they get so much longer body movements and legs than many of the others. So on the nails, ungulates, and then obviously even-toed ungulates. And then lions are on their fingers, their digits. So the warthog is called unguligrade. Unguligrade. The grade is just for the type of structure, grade. Unguligrade, which then translates into ungulate. And then lions and cheetah and leopard and the like and hyena is called digitigrade because they're on their digits, digitigrade. And then we, like baboons and monkeys, honey badgers, porcupine, called plantigrade because we plant our whole bottom of our foot on the ground. Elephants are then called near ungulates because they also walk on their toes, but it's a bit different from the rest of them. Okay, well, we've seen some tracks, so let's go and show you what the animal really looks like.
Just as you were looking at some warthog tracks earlier, we found this big female with actually a piglet. See if we can get a piglet. Welcome to Anbion Pinna Private Game Reserve. It's a nice and cloudy and rainy afternoon. Oh, look at that warthog has just picked up her head a little bit and she's smelling the air. I wonder if there's some other animals in the area that she's a little bit nervous. Oh, there's the piglet in the little bit of grass there. Yeah, welcome to Anbion Pinna Private Game Reserve. I'm Dewald, and behind the camera we've got Simon, and we are sticking around this southern area of the reserve this afternoon. There is some other vehicles in the area that's looking for some cheetah, so maybe we'll see if we can go and join them a little bit later on. But for now, we're here with this female warthog that you can see. Let's see, while she's moving around, see, she's looking up every now and then and raising her head into this breeze that's blowing. I wonder if there is some predators maybe around or something like that. But just feeding as much as he can on this lush green grass that's growing after all the rain that we've had here on Phinda. Now, do you see that? How she's just picking her head up and listening and smelling. Oh, I can see the little piglet coming from the right. Linda, you're saying yay, more warthogs. Indeed, warthogs are one of the favorites, right? And look at the little piglet coming out with what looks like a sub-adult from the previous year. Just another vehicle coming past on the road here. You can see the older warthog on the right hand side. It's a little bit smaller than the female on the left. So probably a piglet from the previous year that's grown up. But look how tiny that little piglet is there. Oh, the other vehicle just slamming their door. And the youngster had a bit of a fright. So cute. But since you've come to us, you can just see them feeding quite vigorously on this long, lush grass. They don't really have to search too much. And looking at the grass, it's nice and short, so they can see around them, and just by picking their heads up, you can imagine having short, stocky legs like these warthogs must be quite scary when the grass is very long. Just having a look, it looks like that youngster is also feeding on some grass there. So interesting that it's so small, most definitely still on a bit of milk, but already eating grass and following the example of its mother. If you look closely at the female in the back there, I'm just looking through my binoculars. Her stomach is hanging nice and low because it's probably like her teats producing milk or so. But if you look at her back rump area, you can see the bones kind of sticking out. So you can imagine this piglet drinking milk. She has to eat a lot because she's obviously producing food for the piglet as well. Hopefully the piglet grows up quickly, and then mom doesn't have to worry too much about milk. See, the tusks of that female is nice and big, and that's what's told me that the other individual is a little bit younger. Its tusks are just coming out. So tusks of warthogs, or the teeth of the warthogs, are to do with genetics as well, like different warthogs with larger tusks or so, but generally with age the tusks do get a little bit bigger. But for now, I think we're gonna see if we can get off of this main road here and see if we can go look for some other animals, and maybe join the rest of the other vehicles to look for some cheetah in the area, and hopefully the rain stays away and we can stick around.
It's no secret that nature can heal. Some of our Wild Earth viewers are finding solace in the outdoors close to their homes during lockdown.
This is how I keep myself busy during lockdown. Beautiful little jumping spot.
I love walking in the open spaces near my home. Provides a moment of peace in a crazy world.
This is my fire escape with some of the birds I get to see. That's what it's like in New York City during lockdown.
Being in nature helps me to cope with the challenges of life and helps me to be humble and grateful.
It's magical watching everything turn into a winter wonderland as the snow softly falls.
Been doing lots of walking, dog walking, outside at parks.
This is my Ridgeback Drake. Our little slice of paradise is a provincial park called Hopewell Ross.
Connecting with nature is critical to stay positive during these tough times.
Wild Earth encourages you all to find time to escape to nature.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the home of Wild Earth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the Wild Earth camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of February 2021, and you could be heading to Djuma, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply.
It's so beautiful. And believe it or not, 2 months ago there was not a drop of water here. And this pan is busting at the moment. Lots of life, lots of growth. And we've just snuck in here very quickly. This is where I briefly saw that moorhen. I came and sat here yesterday, midday, to see if I could catch a glimpse of it, but unfortunately nothing. So I think it has made tracks out of this pan. But there's 1 or 2 other sneaky pans that I'm going to visit, try and see if we can see any rarities that have been blown in here. But the evidence is here that we've received big rain from the water, but then also if you take a look directly in front of us, there's a partial part of the nest in the middle there now that has actually come to the ground just from the immense amount of water that would have been soaked into the nest, making the nest extremely heavy, and then eventually that limb or branch just giving up. You can see the birds, the social weaves actually scurrying around and on the nest to collect some material that would be used to maintain and then rebuild other parts of the nest inside this big beautiful camelthorn. So the weight just becomes too much after these rainy periods that limbs give. Not all of that material will be used, some of it, but not all of it. They'll still have the urge to go fly to fetch new material. But how beautiful is this scene right now? See all the butterflies crossing by. There's the existing part of the nest. See, it's been there for quite a while. You can see its color, it's gone very dark brown. And that's from the wear and tear that it would have gone through over years and years and years. The underside still remains this beautiful light brown. As when they bring new material back and create a new part of the nest, it would still be light in color. As you can see, the top parts of that nest have really experienced some weather. But a very beautiful scene. There's a lot of birds flying in here, a lot of swifts and swallows. Seen martins as well, doves. This muddy substratum that is in front of us is perfect for birds in which create nests utilizing mud. Obviously the malleable factor behind it, obviously them picking up and transporting it back to the nest. A very tranquil scene. So I love coming to Panzakas and just sitting for 10-15 minutes, letting things calm down. Live Bug, I think it was. It is very, very beautiful. And that's a very beautiful comment that you've made. It is a beautiful sight right now. And something that we have to take in as much as possible. Because this beautiful body of water will be gone in the next 2-3 months. Obviously a very important spot for a bit of a drink, but then also to come do a bit of a mud wallow to remove external parasites. This is basically like your massage and beauty parlor. This is where a warthog will come down to do a bit of mud wallowing, cooling down. A very beautiful sight. But while we enjoy this for a few more minutes, we'll keep tabs over here for you. But let's send you over to Pinda.
Apologies, signal can sometimes be a bit difficult in the bush. There you can see that elephant bull is just walking on the road. He's actually walking towards some vehicles. Quite interesting behavior. And if you look closely, you'll see that he's dribbling some urine on his back legs there. And look how he's opening his ears. He's in full-blown must. But we might lose him soon. So this raised level of testosterone giving him a bit of dominance issues. He's just stopped for a moment. And there he's keeping on going. Look how he's walking downhill, picking up the pace quite quickly. You can see he's actually got a collar on him for some research purposes. Okay, I'm going to move the vehicle, see if we can catch up with him a little bit. My goodness, we've got some rain coming over the horizon there. Slowly but surely coming closer. Oof, and I can just smell that like ammonia and urine smell that's coming off of this elephant bull. So they've got a very strong, like sweet and sour like smell from them when they're in must, and that's that urine that's smelling like that. Let's see, he's actually going just across into the thickets now. I think we're gonna lose him. We obviously want to keep our distance from him. He's just gone into the thickets. Oh, wow, I'm so glad we got such a good view of him coming and walking across. He's unfortunately gone into the mountains there. There is herds of elephants that have been found this morning, especially over the mountains there in the distance. And I wonder, with this bull being in must, he's going to want to mate with as many females as possible and catch up with the herds and look for the herds the whole time. So I think that's why he made a beeline into the thickets and into the mountains here in front of us. And there's quite a bit of rain coming over the side here. We're going to see if we can pan over for you. We've got the beautiful marula tree here next to us, and you can see in the distance there is so much rain on the way coming from the Indian Ocean. You can see the clouds closer to us also getting lower. But we are going to send you over to Steve and Juma, and we'll see if this rain stays away from us.
Thanks, Devolt. Well, it is that time of year, isn't it, when rain can come and it can go. Surely not much we have the power to control. The bird just landed here. Oh, little wax bill in the road. Are we going to get him? Hello, little wax bill. What is the French name? Do you remember, Seb?
For wax bill?
Yeah. Southern cordon bleu. Cordon bleu?
Cordon bleu du Sud.
Cordon bleu du Sud. Excuse me.
That's very true. It's beautiful.
Cordon bleu du Sud. Du Sud. My French is not... There's another one further up in the road there.
Yeah.
Beautiful little birds, the wax bill. Now, it might be that time of year. I think they are already breeding. They might have already started, but where the wax-bill male will, look at him, he's very active. He'll pick up a little bit of grass. They do love a particular type of grass. I'll find it for you, called blue seed grass. And the male, to make the nest for the female, he rolls a little ball. I'll actually demonstrate exactly how they make a little ball. It's not very difficult. It's not as intricate as that of the weavers. Now, this is not the exact grass I'm looking for, but essentially what they do is they take a whole lot of grass like this and they just roll it into, well, it's obviously more delicate than I thought. They roll it into a woven sort of thingy-mabob with quite a few grass stems like that, and they particularly do it with the blue seed grass, which I'll try to find you. And the male will find a piece and he'll put it in his mouth and he'll dance for the lady, and she'll be like, oh, this is the man who's going to make my home, my nest. And then obviously his dance, the blueness of his chest, you know it all, ladies, don't you? And then he makes a little nest, just a little woven ball like that, not as intricate as the weavers where they weave, but just turns the inflorescence of the grass like that, and they puts it in a little thicket somewhere. We had one last year in a very small little torchwood. I'll see if I can find you another one. And torchwood, very inaccessible to larger predators, but to little waxbills, pretty easy. I wonder if he's nesting over there, because he's just flown into the tree there on the left-hand side. Oh, wow, we've got a baby cuckoo. Can you see over here, Seb, just at the... Yeah. That looks like a baby cuckoo that's hatched. Looks like a baby Deirdrix. Perhaps he's gone down to the right. Oh, where did he go? There, can you see him flicking? Just on the right more, on the edge. There he is. Now, that's a little cuckoo that is hatched. It looks like a Deirdrix. And that fellow would have come out of I think so, would have come out of a weaver nest. He's landed very nicely for us here in the open there. Sorry about the movement. Now, if this was hatched by a weaver, maybe it was a waxbill. Oh, the waxbill is behind him now, busy doing the exact thing I spoke about with the grass. But off he goes. Again, he's at 9 o'clock for you now. So he's begging, not making any noises. Looks like a young cuckoo. Remember, cuckoos are brood parasites, so they would have parents of a species looking after them. And it could be a number of different species that he could be nesting with. And I'm going to go back. Maybe we'll get another view. Because if we can find the adults, they'll come and feed him or her, and we'll see exactly which species this bird has parasitized on. Well, let's send you over to Lauren, who is dying to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the other side of Djuma. We have driven many roads, and this giraffe here is our first animal. It's eerily quiet on the western side of the reserve, and of course, I'm sure many of you know, almost impossible to track, or at least pick up on tracks and see how fresh they are. But first things first, my name is Lauren, and I do have Davy on camera once again, and we finally arrived to Treehouse Dam. And luckily we found this male giraffe here, who seems to be feasting on all the delicious leaves around him. A very dark male, which most likely means he'll be more socially aloof, as in he'll spend a lot more time alone, and he's probably more dominant.
You can either be a dominant male giraffe or you can decide to be a submissive one. If you've maybe not got the good genes and you're not so large and you're not so big and strong, you can choose to be submissive. And you will hang with the ladies far more and take any opportunity that you can to mate with them. He's got lots of scars. And as with most animals out here, you can gauge the age by the condition of their body. Looking at the ears, how scarred are they? Size. This is an old bull that we have here. Isn't he gorgeous? I don't really have so much of a plan today, but we will end up at the hyena den at some point, of course. I'm going to keep trying so we can get another view of Ntima's little one or little ones. I'm not so sure, I guess. So just a little bit later on, we'll head to the hyena den and see how we get on. Now, although we see giraffes a lot here, see them a lot in Swalu, a lot in Pinda and all the other locations, especially the Masai Mara, wild giraffe populations in general have declined by as much as 40% in the past 30 years. That's more than 10% per year. That's a lot. So although we see them a lot, we automatically tend to assume that the populations are healthy. But across the board, they're not. They're still listed as vulnerable by the IUCN. I once got asked a question, you see a lot of wild dogs on Djuma. Does that mean the populations are increasing? No, not at all. This is such a small area. You cannot possibly gauge the populations just by looking at what we see here. So we're going to continue bumbling, see what we can find. But we're now going to send you across to some spotty cats at Pinda.
So we were with that elephant bull, and then all of a sudden someone found 5 subadult cheetahs. So it's the 5 orphans that's been on Wild Earth before, and there's only one of them that's sitting upright now, but the rest of them are actually lying down and hunkering down, because you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a bit of a drizzle coming over now, and they just the one sitting up and looking around to see if he can spot anything. Look at that, just looking now straight almost this way. Interesting that there's always with these 5 subadult cheetahs, like one that's quite wary, almost like they're giving each other turns to rest a little bit. You might see that this youngster has a collar on it, and that is for us to just keep an eye on them, because like I said, these 5 youngsters were orphaned, and I'm sure most of you have heard the story before, but they were actually a female cheetah with 6 youngsters, and unfortunately the female one youngster got killed by lions. But these 5 that have survived have been doing pretty well. They actually caught 2 days ago, a baby impala, which is incredible, and the fact that they're still surviving just shows that they've already taught themselves to hunt, which is awesome news. Amy, you are asking if cheetahs are territorial. So when it comes to these 5, they're not territorial yet. So I think they're just trying to survive, and they'll just move around wherever they can. But male cheetahs are highly territorial, and they'll scent mark everywhere they go and fight other males for territory and have boundaries to the territories and keep a territory. Female cheetahs, on the other hand, would not have a territory, but more what we call a home range. So a home range is an area that they'll probably stay in and try and hunt in, but they won't try and keep other cheetahs out of it. So female cheetahs on Phinda move quite freely, and we've seen when they, especially like this female, for example, now is a good example, getting pressure from lions. These 5 subadults, they also have a home rangers for now, and they came all the way from the north of the reserve and moved almost 30 kilometers, 25 to 30 kilometers down to the southern part of Phinda to get away from where the lions were putting pressure on their little family. So male cheetahs are territorial and female cheetahs not territorial. Very, very good question. And with these 5 youngsters, I can't remember if it's 3-2 or 2-3, but there's either 3 males or 2 females or 2 males and 3 females. I need to check again when we see them walking around. But these males in this little group will stick together their whole lives and form a coalition and hopefully be a force to be reckoned with one day and have a nice big territory on Phinda. Terry, you're asking if one of the males will take a more dominant role. Indeed so. In between the males, they're just lying down, but I can still answer your question. So between the males, when they form coalitions, they will fight with each other, especially when it comes to mating with females, and the more dominant one will get mating preferences, but there's very little known with cheetahs mating because it's rarely been seen, but we do often see scars on their faces even though they don't really get into contact with other males that often. So there is definitely some kind of hierarchy between the males in coalitions, and you often see this when they are patrolling their territories, which one is leading the way and leading the scent marking also. See how they're just lying down, heads almost tilted down as it's raining now and getting nice and cold. But for now, I think we'll stick around and then we'll send you over to Lauren in Djuma.
I can't possibly do a drive without stopping by my favourites. I think we have a male barbet percher here. And of course, dragonfly, insects in general, are the perfect representatives of the phylum Arthropoda. We spoke about phylums yesterday. And their name actually comes from a Latin verb. And I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but I think it's insecar or insecare. And what it means is to cut into. And that's where the word insect comes from, and it refers to their segmented body. It's going to come back, Dolly, I'm sure of it. And they're, of course, they don't have a backbone. And their skeleton is on the outside, so they have an exoskeleton. Now, in order to function as a armor to protect the body, but also to allow the insect to be mobile and flexible and light, it's a very specialized exoskeleton. So it's hard on the outside, but it's also very lightweight to allow them to fly. And on the outer layer is a sort of waxy substance. And this is to protect the insects against their biggest fear. And their biggest fear in the entire world is dehydration. They don't want to dehydrate, so that's why there's a layer of wax, not just coating the entire body, but also the legs, everywhere. And I've actually got a diagram for you here, because I wanted to show you how the insect body is divided. It's generally divided into 3. Now, excuse my drawings. They're not the best, but we'll work with it. And here we go. There's no wind today, so this makes it easy. So I don't really know what insect it is, but the point is there's 3 sections. You have the head here, and this is a sensory center. So this is where you'll find the antenna and the eyes. But to be quite honest, insects don't necessarily only have eyes on their head. There's a certain species of swallowtail butterfly that has eyes on its penis. But we'll come back to that. The thorax is the middle section, if you like, and this is known as the transport center. So this small part of the body is filled with muscles, and that's what powers the 6 legs and the 4 wings. The 2 forewings, spelled differently, and the 2 hindwings. Then you have the abdomen, and they call this the generative center. It will contain the gut, all the sort of digestive system, and indeed the reproductive system. So that's how insects' bodies are basically broken up. There's another page. Are you ready, Darby? When you look at insects, there's another thing. Fish, everyone. I stole this from John Dre. Do not tell him. So when you look at insects, basically, to quickly explain, there's 2 different variants in terms of transformation. One that includes your dragonflies that we were just looking at. They basically go from a nymph stage, which is juvenile, straight to adult. And they do this by molting. Because if you've got a hard exoskeleton, it's like an armor, how are you going to grow? You have to molt. You have to get rid of that exoskeleton and grow a new one. So this is sort of change that gradually happens through molting. The other variant is metamorphosis, and that's of course like your butterflies, your beetles, your wasps, your moths, and this is a little bit more of a complicated life cycle. You have eggs. The eggs will hatch into larvae. The larva will go through a pupal stage, and then they will emerge as an adult in a completely different form. In the pupal stage, this is where the magic happens. This is where a caterpillar, for example, changes into a butterfly. And 85% of all insects take on this variant, which means they undergo a metamorphosis. So when you look at insects, you're going to get different types. Isn't that fascinating? Let's see if Davy can relocate that dragonfly for us, or at least another one.
He's gone.
He's gone. I'm sure we can find another one. So dragonflies change from a nymph, an aquatic nymph, and they just molt and molt and molt and molt until they're ready to transform into an adult. And that last molt is going to bring the adult phase. They're going to be equipped with everything that's needed to be an adult, really. Functioning wings and sex organs. Voila, you're an adult. Because the adult stage is all about reproduction. Well done, Davy. You did it. So being an aquatic organism at the start to an aerial terrestrial predator, there's lots of changes in the dragonfly life cycle, but it happens gradually. With each molt, there'll be a slight change and adaptation to their exoskeleton. And you can see that head clearly. You can see that thorax clearly. And the abdomen. Oh, many of you are saying my diagrams are neat. They're not the best, but you know, we've got to try and draw somehow. And I think it really visually shows you how insect bodies are divided. And it's really simple when you think of it that way. Sometimes when you pick up a book on insect biology, my goodness, it's very complicated, and sometimes you just have to simplify it a little bit. But going back to the swallowtail, yes, they're known to have eyes on their penis. And that basically helps the male position himself correctly during mating, because that's very, very important. And the female is also said to have eyes on her rear end. But this is to check the eggs as she's laying them. So when it comes to sensory systems and the different senses in different organisms, it's not quite as straightforward as humans, where we have sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. We always think there's 5 senses, but are there really? What about the sense of balance? What about all these other things that we don't think of as senses that we have? And then when it comes to the animal world, well, it's a whole different ballgame to learn how these animals navigate their world. You've really got to put yourself in their shoes to understand how they survive. So that's my little insect lesson for today. So we're going to continue our bumble and see what else we can find.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that is truly, truly magical.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, a butterfly, possibly a moth, would love to pollinate a flower like this. This is one of our bush peas, one of the genus Tephrosia. I couldn't tell you exactly which one, but the flowers are quite characteristic in that little bean pod, very characteristic of peas and beans, which are all part of the Fabaceae family, which are all legumes. Legumes all have very nice sorts of symbiotic relationships with rhizobacteria. If you've never heard of rhizobacteria before, it basically means that the roots of the plant have got a symbiotic relationship with a bacteria that lives on the roots, which basically increases the surface area, which increases the absorption of nutrients, and also is able to fix nitrogen from the atmospheric nitrogen, which is a very, very important process, one of the most important processes in nature. Now, lightning fixes nitrogen into the soil when it goes through the atmosphere. It actually stores nitrogen in the ground, but legumes, clovers, beans, all the acacias, anything that's pretty much got a bean pod on it is regarded as a legume. Soya. And what they do is that they're able to, through the soil, because there's actually air passing through the soil, believe it or not, everybody, there's air, and the bacteria are able to harness that and take the nitrogen, because atmospheric air has got 80% nitrogen. They're able to take that nitrogen, and which is in gas form, and fix it into the soil, into nitrates, which then benefit the plant communities and the soils around them. Now, this Tephrosia, I don't know the species, but many of the bush peas like this have been used to create an insecticide, which could be used for keeping off insects, keeping bugs away from biting, maybe ticks or fleas. Might also be used as a fish poison. So some of them can be cut and thrown into small little ponds, and that often takes the oxygen out of the water, which then burns the fish's lungs or deoxygenates the water, and sometimes the fish will float. Obviously, not the most sustainable practice out there, But it's a lovely time of year to be looking for wildflowers, and this beautiful little bush pea is one of the many. Spending a bit of time over the coming days having a look at our wildflowers as they're starting to emerge through the density of the grasses. And we also have a look at the grasses themselves, because there are so many of them, and it's a great time of year to look at the vegetation. If you ever want to do a bush vegetation survey and a species survey, this is the time of year to do it, because everything's flowering, everything's fruiting, time of abundance. Okay, well, we're going to move on from our bush pea, see what else we can find, and send you over to the west to Tswala Kalahari.
Wow, it just got one. Oh, it nearly got another one. Wow. We've been watching this corn cricket, this armored ground cricket, sorry, moving along the ground. It's trying to catch these butterflies. Look at that. Right. The butterflies are just a little too... Welcome back. Wow. We have been sitting here watching this armored ground cricket, and it's trying to catch butterflies. Obviously, any form of nourishment that these insects can get to develop, they're gonna snack on it. But wow, sorry about that. Just a little bit of a fish in my pocket. Well, we've been watching this corn cricket move up and down here. This corn cricket is trying to catch butterflies. And so it's walking along the ground using this long antenna, feeling ahead of it, and it's trying to like lash out, almost jump forward with those very underdeveloped legs. If you look at crickets and grasshoppers, they have a remarkable ability with their very strong hind legs to boost themselves from the one point to evade predators. So these legs are like spring-loaded, and obviously it allows them to jump very quickly from point A away from a predator. But these guys don't have that remarkable ability. They're fairly slow and lethargic. You can see him moving through there, and then when he gets close, he tries to give like a lunge forward. Oh, nearly got one. Oh, he got one. Oh, he lost it. But just all these butterflies, there's so many. So the family group here, the majority of them are from a very, very complicated group called blues. Some of them be hairtails. Just off the bat, whoa. Look at that. Just off the bat to try and ID them, I'm not great within this family group. So I'm not even going to try and pull the wool over your eyes. As you folks must know now, that is not part of my nature. But blues is the family group here. And some of these little butterflies are extremely hard to identify. Some of them cannot be identified within the hand. You can't actually make out differences on the wing pattern to identify different species. You need to go a little bit deeper. Oh, wow, my word. Wow. So to the bottom right-hand corner, that orange one there, that's an African monarch. Very distinctive and very prominent butterfly. Tied to milkweed, a family group of plant that is poisonous, and in their larval stage they actually consume this toxin and they become poisonous in their adult form. My word, look at all the butterflies. So while he's going away, do you think he's going to go for something else there, Morgan, or do you think he's making his way out? There comes another one. Shaggy, are they attracted to the wet ground? I'm assuming you're talking about the butterflies. Yes, there is moisture. I mean, if you think about that soft or moist ground now, there's a lot of moisture in between the grains of sand. And then as well as valuable minerals, sodium as well, is very important. And so what they're doing is they're coming down to this wet-ish area. So we're actually on a road right now, and this road was a lot more covered in terms of water, and so a lot of the water is resided, but now there's still lots of moisture around the grains of sand. And what these butterflies are doing is landing and then using their rolled up tube mouth called a proboscis, and then they are using that proboscis to take up valuable water, but then also minerals. Morgan, can we go into that very dense patch there on the left? There's so many butterflies. Look at that, folks. Wow. And they are minute little things. Some of them in total length maybe about 2.5 centimeters. Some of them are even smaller. But you can see a very defined stripy appearance, and then a lot of them have orange dots towards the bottom end of the wing. So at the very back and bottom end of the wing, you can see these beautiful little orange dots. And the pattern would vary depending on the species, and then as well as the arrangement and number of those dots. But super to see all of them here. Wow. Let me see if our hair tails, blues. Wow, look at that. Yeah, my experience and exposure to these beautiful Lepidoptera species hasn't been extensive, and so I deem them species-wise, I'm very, very limited on that scene. But nonetheless, they are just beautiful to observe, just as is. Amelie, what is the difference between a cricket and a grasshopper? That would be its body shape. A cricket's got a different body shape in comparison to that of a grasshopper. And while you folks are busy looking there, to answer Amelie's question correctly, I'm going to take out my field guide here, my Insects of South Africa. Very, very nice book to have. If you're into insects, you have to have a bit of reference material. And what I'm going to do is just skip to Orthoptera quickly, and then let's take a look at a cricket versus a grasshopper. Alright, so I'm just going to ask Morgan if you can come towards us over here, and let's take a look at this very quickly. So that would be a cricket. You can see the head thorax is almost uniform. They've got short wings. You can see the legs are different, very cylindrical body plan, so to say, especially this chap over here. But then if we go to the next page, you'll see that grasshoppers, or the next page after that, you can see the leg makeup, or how the leg is on the animal, is very different. If you take a look at that individual there, that is a grasshopper. So the body plan and the way that the leg is held, those are catidids. Those are still grasshoppers, but there we go. Those are bigger grasshoppers or locusts, and you can see that leg is very different in comparison to that of the cricket. There we go. Crickets also found more active under the cover of darkness. I hear crickets more under the cover of darkness. I don't know if that is a defining figure or defining property. But the activity of these little butterflies is just impressive right now. There's a very yellow one flying around. Let's see if we can see where that yellow one has gone. So moisture is very important if you think about these little animals. We've looked at the brown-veined whites, and they need to stop every 20 minutes for a drink. And if they don't stop every 20 minutes, they'll die from dehydration. So the water now is very important for these beautiful flying insects. Morgan got us something else. Look at them. Wow. So if you're into birds, the next big step will be butterflies, because butterflies are very, very hard to identify. And it takes a lot of time and dedication in order to know your family groups and then the species within that family group. But amazing. Jen, yeah, the diversity on Tswalu with these butterflies is remarkable. 76 different species have been recorded. Morgan, sorry, can you come this way for me, please? And then come to this patch right over here. Can you see this butterfly on the corner here? There's another beautiful butterfly, but very cryptically colored. That's it, punch in. That's it. Go in, go in, go in. Slightly down in the middle of screen. Look at that cryptically colored species there. Wow! And look at the size difference of those two butterflies next to each other. Oh, and now that name has decided to elude me, but very distinctive patterning on that butterfly. If you take a look at the top end of the forewing, you can see those orange markings, and then obviously it's cryptic coloration. Painted lady, if I'm not mistaken. I could be incorrect there, but I'm just going to do a little reference check quickly. But the inner part, or the top side of the wings, are totally different. It's this beautiful, rich orange. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh. On cue. Unbelievable. So you can see when those wings are held together, that butterfly blends into the environment. Look at that. You can see the proboscis quite nicely over there as well, tucked up underneath the eyes, and you can see it's actually extended. And look how it's probing it in between the granules, or in between the grains itself. Wow, my word. Wow, fantastic. Lovely butterfly to see. Yes, I'm right. Painted lady that we are looking at over there. Very beautiful butterfly, and can be easily mixed up. Karen, these armored ground crickets would eat anything. They eat vegetable matter, but they can also become carnivores, eating meat, but then also practice cannibalism. They eat each other. So if an individual is injured and it can't get away, it's the members within the group, or members that are roaming around, can actually sense that this individual is injured. And you'll have 4 or 5 crickets descending on this injured individual, and simultaneously they will attack it and eat it. So it's an opportunity. And if you look at animals, they try and seize every opportunity. And it's not written in stone that an organism will not eat a certain food source. So with these butterflies being around now, these corn crickets are just intercepting them on their route from point A to point B, and they're just trying their luck, trying to see if they can just capture one. Obviously, very, very fleeting prey at that. And but yeah, just trying to seize opportunity when it presents it. When it is presented. Whoa, what is going on with me today? I'm a bit slow this afternoon. But you can see using those antennae and feeling where available prey is. Watch him, watch him. Oh no. Oh no. Can that butterfly fly? Oh, there you got away. We nearly had our first kill on Safari Live this afternoon. Oh, my word. Lovely. So that painted lady is a species that can be muddled up with the African monarch because of its orange appearance. But at the underside, the coloration is very, very distinctive. Let's go back here. It's sitting right there, nice and open. Look at that. So that coloration, that's where one could easily muddle up the species to that of the African monarch. But if you take a look at the antenna, take a look at the little white dots right on top of the antenna. That's also distinctive to this species. It's a very prominent species, obviously distributed right through South Africa and found here, but you can find them in forest margins, parks, gardens, and even flatlands down to the coast. So very, very nice to see.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
It's no secret that nature can heal. Some of our Wild Earth viewers are finding solace in the outdoors close to their homes during lockdown.
This is how I keep myself busy during lockdown. Beautiful little jumping spot.
I love walking in the open spaces near my home. Provides a moment of peace in a crazy world.
This is my fire escape with some of the birds I get to see. That's what it's like in New York City during lockdown.
Being in nature helps me to cope with the challenges of life and helps me to be humble and grateful.
It's magical watching everything turn into a winter wonderland as the snow softly falls.
Been doing lots of walking, dog walking, outside at parks.
This is my Ridgeback Drake. Our little slice of paradise is a provincial park called Hopewell Ross.
Connecting with nature is critical to stay positive during these tough times. Wild Earth encourages you all to find time to escape to nature.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Now, we did have one of these on the dashboard, but he elegantly hopped away onto the grass. See what I did there? Yes, we're looking at an elegant grasshopper. Now, going back to the sensory world, communicating through scent is really important for insects. Chemical scent, especially when you're searching for a mate. It's a huge, big, bad world out here, and you're a tiny insect. How are you going to find a mate? But some insects rely on sound. Grasshoppers in general, I'm not just talking about the elegant grasshopper here, grasshoppers in general rely on sound. And their song is not actually to create a beautiful summer sound for humans, is to find a girlfriend. and it's usually the males that call out for the females. There's an ancient Greek saying, and it's very controversial, but it's appropriate to the insects, and that's what it's referring to. And it's, blessed are the cicadas, for they have the voiceless wives. So when you're talking about insects in general, especially insects like grasshoppers and cicadas, it's actually very, very smart for the females to stay silent, because the males are calling out for them, and they are the ones that are putting themselves at risk, because it's not just the females that are listening. Other insects, other organisms will be listening, especially the likes of parasites. And there's parasites that are actually known to listen to the sound of cicadas in particular. They follow the sound, and they'll actually climb onto the soloist, if you like, and lay their eggs. Once those eggs are laid, it's game over, because these parasitic eggs will hatch into really hungry larvae, which we mentioned earlier. It's a different stage in the life cycle, and they'll consume the cicada from inside out. And it was the sound that gave them away. So although that ancient Greek statement is a little bit controversial for humans, it's quite applicable for insects. The females are smart not to make a sound. They hear where the males are, they know where the males are, but they stay silent, because it protects them from not only predators but also parasites. And when you say ears, it's not big ears like us. Insects don't have big, goofy cartilage structures like we do. They actually have ears, and I'm putting quotation marks here, in all sorts of peculiar places. And it's actually rarely on their head. And I've just told you the head is a sensory center. But insects can have ears on their legs, on their wings, sometimes on their thorax, and their abdomen. Now, there are certain moth species that actually have ears in their mouths, believe it or not. But of course, it's not ears like ours. When you say hearing, we think of the way that humans hear, but you've got to remember, insects can also detect vibrations. Some of them can have sensors in the form of really small hairs which pick up vibrations. So is that hearing? I mean, are you hearing something when you're feeling a vibration? It gets a little bit tricky. The waters get a little bit muddy there, but I guess we do call it hearing. So when we say ears, we're using the word ears very, very loosely. Like mosquitoes and fruit flies, for example, they have really specialized sensors on their antenna that are hearing by feeling for vibrations. I hope that makes sense. So although we say that chemical communication is important for insects, in some, visual communication is important, like butterflies and moths. But it's also sound in a huge range of different ways. And of course, cicadas are incredibly loud. Really, really loud. There's actually a place in America, I can't remember it, it'll come back to me, where the sound of the cicadas is so deafening that people have to cancel events. Darcy-Ann, you're asking, do males have different sounds? I'm not sure if you're meaning males of grasshoppers or in general, but each species of insect, I think I've covered a lot of insects just now, will produce their own sound. But individually, in case you're meaning individuals, they most likely won't. It'll be the same sort of sound. But just like frogs, for example, that louder sound is going to attract the female. So it's the same type of sound, if that makes sense. But I'm not sure if individuals have their own frequency or their own intensity. That is possible. I'm not actually sure. But each species, they will also have their own sound. And I'm more than sure that some of the sounds are not even audible to the human ear. And I'm sure there's an aquatic insect that's very, very small. It's only 2 millimeters long. And it's said to be one of the loudest of all insects, believe it or not. And again, I'm not trying to sound vulgar, but how can an aquatic insect make a sound? And how can it be the loudest? Well, basically, he uses his abdomen as a string and his penis as a bow, and he almost plays a violin. the world's tiniest violin. Tristan will love that. We need to tell Tristan about this. But yes, that is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. The world's smallest insect. I don't actually know the name, but I will find it. So we're going to head to the hyena den now. Hopefully it's active. And we're going to send you across to Ngala to say good afternoon.
A warm welcome to all our viewers. We're currently here at Ambion Ngala, and in the far distance we have a couple impala that are feeding, but we just wanted to show you where we are. Look at this beautiful waterhole, look at all the clouds in the sky, and we were actually coming past this way because we were tracking lions, and unfortunately we've lost the tracks, but they were heading down in this direction, so maybe later on, as soon as it cools down, these lions might come down to the water to drink. So I'm Nikki. I'm going to be your ranger this afternoon here at Ambion Ngala, and with me on camera we have Owen. It's been an exciting afternoon. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of signal in the areas that we have been drying. I think it all has to do with some of the with the weather. But we have covered a few drainage lines. We've seen quite a few lion tracks. A few of them were heading here, and there was also quite a few elephant tracks. But unfortunately, nothing at the water. And I'm also thinking, after the rain we had over the last few days, it is starting to warm up. And it might be that these lions, knowing their behavior, could be lying down in the shade somewhere. You can see the tree line at the back. Owens did very well to follow a bird. There was a blacksmith lapwing. But you can see the tree line in the back. Possibly there's a chance that these lions could be somewhere in there. And just waiting it for it to cool down before they start moving out. Might even be worth it, like scanning along the edge of the water. I know there's an island, and from where we are now, if we go down along the water's edge and more to our left, it looks like there's a chance that there could be some Egyptian geese walking on the side of the bank there. There they are. It looks like there's a dot with a few of the younger ones just off to the right. That's very interesting. They're very common water birds that we find, and you'll see, like, over all our locations, and especially South Africa, you'll find a lot of them. And I wouldn't even be surprised when we had the feeds running up in the Masai Mara, where you would also have seen some of them. So apparently they're the most widespread water bird in Africa. And the Egyptians were the first ones to domesticate them, hence the name the Egyptian goose. And one of the key characteristics or features is, if you look at the one on the left, I don't know if we'll be able to get close enough, but you'll notice bright orangey legs, and then right in the middle there's a black spot. The Afrikaans name for them is quite unique. It's called kolgaans, which means just that like a spotted goose or spot goose, because of that black patch on the chest there. There's another one just off to the right that's also coming down towards the water's edge. For now, we're going to just enjoy this view for the next little while. And in the meantime, let's head across to some butterflies in Tswalu. Well, we're enjoying the lovely diversity here. And we're just enjoying all these species, from large to small. This is the African migrant, or common vagrant as it's also known. This butterfly species will actually rival those abundant brown-veined whites in terms of numbers. Also a very prominent butterfly through South Africa. And lovely to see them. So if you look at these animals, I mean, they are very, very diverse within certain groups. And as I said in the beginning there, the blues are very hard to ID. So we've got a general family group, but species, I would be really pulling a long one there. But the diversity is unreal, and how many butterfly species you get across South Africa and as well as the continent. We're very, very lucky. So looking at these beautiful animals, there's a few commonly asked questions, like what is the difference between that of a butterfly and a moth? Well, there is some differences, but it's mainly superficial. And if you look at these beautiful flying species, both moths and as well as butterflies fall into a group called Lepidoptera. And they are grouped in this group because of characteristics that they share, similarities. But generally, you find that butterflies are day flying and moths are generally night flying. You do have some species of butterfly that fly on dusk or even early evening at that. If you look at moths, they've got fairly hairy bodies and that they are large in proportion to the wings, whereas butterflies are slender individuals and less hairy. So if you're looking at the general body of the animal. And then if you look at butterflies, very brightly colored in comparison to moths, which are fairly dull and more inconspicuous or concealed, let's say at that. And then the wings as well is a very big factor. So if you look at the wings of moths, the fore wings and the hind wings are held together in flight by a body part, whereas in butterflies rely on a large overlap between the fore and the hind wing. So there's a few general accepted ways on how you could distinguish between a butterfly and that of a moth. And then as well as you look at the antenna, obviously very important to sense its environment. Butterflies' antenna usually end in a club and they're straight, and where moths is fairly elaborate. Depending on the species, moths' antennae can be fairly elaborate. They can be almost comb-like, they can be bushy, they can be small, so they are very varied with that as well. But it becomes confusing sometimes because they do obviously look very alike, but once you start looking at it a bit longer, you start realizing these subtle differences. So all these butterflies in frame here, these are more than likely from the same genus, blues, which would be referred to as Zintha, a very, very abundant group. And if you look in just blues, sorry, my apologies. But a very, very diverse group and very hard to identify. But they all go through complete metamorphosis, both moths and butterfly. It's obviously where their body is transformed and remodeled, let's say it that. But we're going to enjoy this for a little while longer, but let's send you over to Steve.
Welcome back to the bowels of a torchwood with a beautifully sharp, angular thorns, or should I say straight thorns. I told you earlier about a blue waxbill nest. Here is one from last year that's rolled and balled up in the middle there. I don't think it's in use at the moment, but that is what I was talking about. A little rolled ball of a nest that the male will produce. And obviously the female's quite attracted to the placement and the position. And it is in a very inaccessible bush. Quite well concealed, I would say. If you didn't know where to look, you wouldn't know it was there at all. Small little torture. We don't see many of these around. A lot of people might wonder why, and a lot of it's to do with the population of impala as well as the population of elephants. There's lots of tall torchwoods that probably grew and got to a certain height quite a long time ago, back in the days when impala and elephant numbers were pretty low in these parts. It's a very well browsed bush, very, very nutrient rich, very tasty. It's got very good access to the water and the nutrients, and so the plant is very, very tasty, very well eaten. But you'll see the thorns here are nasty. Those are very powerful, very strong thorns. And often, bless you, Seb, often you find them in a dual thorn at the end, like that one, but not always. Not always. You see in the Mara, there's also many torchwoods up in the Masai Mara, and there are all these big sort of umbrella-shaped thorns or trees that have escaped herbivory from the bottom, and they're just accessed by the giraffe at the top, so there's this little canopy. Otherwise, it's very tall from the fire as well as from the herbivory. Yeah, of course. I'm sure someone's going to want me to eat one. Why not? Try one, Seb. Oh. That one's got an insect on it. You don't want that one. Seb likes his insect-free. It's not bad.
Thank you.
No tannin. You see, plants that got lots of tannin, you can taste it immediately on the tongue. It's very bitter. Plant like this, it's getting a bit much now at the end. It is a bit fibrous. Probably need the fiber. Plants like this have the ability to mobilize tannin after being eaten on for an extended period of time. And so it gets fed upon and it'll slowly start to push the tannin out to the extremities to where it's being eaten. But tannin is a very, very expensive product to build, to hold, and plants that have it generally have leaves that remain on the plant for a long period of time. Like our magic guarris, they will just stay full of tannin all the time and nothing really eats them. They get left alone for the most part. Because tannin binds to protein. An animal that eats lots of tannin can't digest it, so they end up starving with a full belly. I know I've discussed this before, but when they first started game farming, probably in the 50s or the 60s, they were trying to farm antelope for the meat market and for the biltong industry and the like. And so they would... They didn't really know much about the land, so they would try and put as many animals on a property as they could, as you do with cattle farming. They realized after a period of time that the kudu were dying. There's plenty of trees everywhere. Everywhere they could see were trees. Come on, kudu, there's plenty of food here. And then they'd do autopsies on them and cut them open, and their belly would be full. That's very bright. Full of leaves. So everybody, the sun, our long-awaited friend, has returned. And I know many of you are very sun-loving. How's that? Many of you are very sun-loving. We are very sun-loving too. And after a few days of rain, it gets a little bit cabin feverish. We're itching to go home and get this roof off. Some old leopard tracks coming in. Nothing going back. I'll go have a look up the road. You still there, Jared? Everything's gone very quiet. Don't forget, everybody, we do really appreciate questions and comments. It does really help us to spur on the conversation. Otherwise, you're just going to catch me in these long rambling affairs about the sunshine, which I'm sure you don't want to really delve into. Or maybe you do. Just going to edge up slowly up this road. Okay, very good. Well, we're going to flutter by up this road and send you back over to Tswalu with their butterflies. A blue waxbill nest. Oh, I think that's what he found. Huh? Oh, lovely. We are still enjoying this spectacle in front of us. And this very large and diverse subfamily is well presented in front of us right now. And the activity has not dropped one bit. The sun is actually a big factor. You'll find that insects generally do prefer warmer temperatures. And as soon as the temperature drops, insects do tend to become a little more static. And we're still watching these armored ground crickets in hot pursuit for a potential meal. Still moving around and seeing if they can get lucky. Oh, just missed that one. Beautiful. Can sit here for hours and just be in total awe with the variety and as well as the movement and activity of these butterflies.
David, how do butterflies communicate with each other? So if you look at a butterfly, the coloration is very distinctive. And if you look at the eyesight of butterflies, they are attracted to color and as well as scent. So the coloration and patterning is very important, so that will be a form of communication, and especially when males are trying to ward off other males. Like these species over here, these species, the males will be territorial, and so communicating via wing beats or the flight pattern is very important, especially if you want to ward off a competitor or if you're trying to attract a mate. A lot of butterflies do something called hilltopping, so basically flying to a very high point and flying higher than your opponents, but flying in a very beautiful and almost like rhythmic pattern. So visually, I'm almost sure that they'll be able to communicate visually, but then via scent. Pheromones is also another way in which butterflies can communicate, and pheromones will be picked up with taste. This could be at the end of the feet or even the antenna, picking up these pheromone cues left behind. So visually and as well as chemically, butterflies communicate. Oh, did he get one? He didn't. Try again. So the persistence, it's got to pay off somewhere along the line. He's going to catch one that is just not quick enough, or one that is just slow off the mark. But I mean, the abundance of them, you can see there's no shortage of them. Tammy, the butterfly fashion show. It is really a fashion show going on right now. And you can see where they get their name from. So the butterflies in flight, you can see this beautiful blue sheen, almost like a silvery blue sheen to them. That's obviously where this very complicated group gets its common name from. Oh, he got one. Oh, it slipped out of his grip. Yo. Wow. So that's where they get their beautiful sheen. But you can see that beautiful blue color is concealed once the butterfly is sitting and the wings are actually held together. You can see how efficient those legs are, designed to move around through, terrain, rough terrain or thick vegetation, but they're not designed in any manner to jump like our crickets and grasshoppers. So if I'm not mistaken, I think that name's been now changed to the armored ground katydid because of that lack of being able to jump, or not as efficiently as a grasshopper or a cricket. Beautiful song of the chestnut-vented tit babbler here next to us, giving its very distinctive call. And it's such a treat just to sit and observe insects like this. But we're going to continue, we're going to leave this site, but for now let's send you over to Steve.
We had an elephant bull. I saw him this morning. Big boy in must. So we've just moved back to give him some space, and he's decided rather to turn around and go through the bushes there. He's got a small injury above his left tusk, right tusk, from, you can just see the back of him there. Above his right tusk. Tristan had two big bulls fighting on Buffelshoek the other day, and it is something to behold. But what I'm very interested in is there's Franklin's shouting off to my left, which is often a very good indication of a spotted feline of sorts. But I've given this elephant some space, but he's gone off road. We just made some space for him over here so that hopefully he'd walk past. But there clearly wasn't enough space, but there's no more space I can make. It's very closed in on either side, so we'll see how he behaves when you get a bit close up. but I know he's in must. I could smell him this morning when we saw him, and also looking at his penis sheath. It's covered in sort of what we call the green penis syndrome. I've used the term before. Oh, there's another elephant behind him, and maybe that's a different elephant now. I think that actually might be the second elephant in there. Okay, so we're just going to have to pay attention. If these are two bulls in must, at the same time I'm looking at why these Franklin are alarm calling. There are two bulls in must. It's not often you'll find two bulls hanging out together if they're in must. Even if one's in must and one's not, they don't hang out. You know, you get that grumpy friend who's just in a mood. You're like, come call me when you're out of your mood. You can smell him. It's a ripe smell. Franklin's alarm calling, elephants on the right. What are we going to do? Oh, there's a whole herd here now. Okay, so that's what's happened. He's actually finding the herd here for... Here comes the female. He's going to come in front of us, but there's the bull. He's clearly looking for the females for mating purposes. But you keep filming them. I am almost certain there's something behind us. Not the first time we'd have a spotted cat arriving in the middle of an elephant sighting, would it, Seb? Oof. Hello, Charlie. You want to know how long he'll be in must for? Well, he's a big boy. He's a big boy. So the big bulls, they can go into a sustained must for 2.5, 3 months, where all they want to do is mate. They don't do much feeding. They do a bit of drinking because they lose enormous amounts of liquid. But 2.5 to 3 months, if he meets a bull who's in must as well, the two of them will fight, which is what Tristan said happened the other day. And I'm almost certain it's the same guy because we found him in the same place this morning on Buvershoek where we were. And now we found him down here. But that injury on his face, can't see it from this angle, but it's quite characteristic. He's a big fellow. So he will go into must for a period of time. And the bigger of the two will outcompete because they're both in must. Strength is everything. And strength often comes in from weight. And those tusks are vitally important. A lot of people say, some elephants have got big tusks and others have got small. When it comes to a fighting battle, two elephants of the same weight, the one with the bigger tusks will outcompete the one with the smaller tusks generally. And that's how it's worked. That's how the genetics have worked. And that is how the big tusk gene is passed down. Because it obviously favors the bigger and the thicker set of tusks. Now that Franklin has stopped alarm calling. I've been trying to spy over Seb's shoulder to see what it was calling about, but there's no off-road driving, everybody, and it's very thick back there. As you can see, it's just swallowed an entire herd of elephants that once again are feeding in the silver cluster leaf line. All that female fertility elixirs and the like that are needed this time of year. But we've got a very cool bird in the road, nonetheless, standing in the shade, a nocturnal bird that we don't often see in the daytime. And there is a nocturnal bird called a bronze-winged corsair.
How insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off. Just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The cock's holding the tail. It's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest.
There's nowhere to go. This is a disaster in the making.
This is the first leucistic zebra I have ever seen in my life.
Oh, here comes a lion. Run, little guy. Go on.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it?
Has it just pretended to be dead? That is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You got a friend in me.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we're coming to you live from the Chobe River? It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Look at that little zebra about to be born. There's the head. Oh, you clever mare. Well done.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this.
Welcome back, everybody. We are heading up to Buffelshoek now. We had some lightning damage to our receiver up in the north in the storm the other day, and apparently it's just been fixed, so we're going to go and see how it's working. We're very close to the boundary. We'll be in Buffelshoek in a couple of minutes. So that's exciting. Give us opportunity to get up to the north again, up to the big dam systems up that side. Oh, that sun got me. Ooh. Seb, am I going straight? Am I going straight, bud? I caught that sun out the corner of my eye and I just got blind for a moment. Sorry, everybody. I'll be all right. I shall live to see another day. Okay, so that male elephant has walked down this line here. Let me see if I can show you what he's done. There's another elephant. He's checked this herd. And I can tell why he's walked here, because there's big elephant tracks on the left, and there's that trunk that's been moving along the ground, because he's trying to smell the females that obviously are in breeding readiness. And here is a couple of elephants feeding off of the termite mound. Let's just sneak up a little bit more. There we go. That's okay, young boy. Oh, here's a young lady. It's a young lady. Very pretty young lady. Is that some tasty grass growing there on the termite mound? It must be. Very juicy. Lots of nutrients. We know that the termites recycle all the nutrients back. So you'll often find that the termite mounds are favoured grazing sites around South Africa, I'm sure across the world, in parts of the sort of western parts of South Africa into the Namib, even the Kalahari. There's sort of evidence from the air of where the termite activity is, because not many of them produce mounds like this, but they could produce heveltjies or areas of nutrient decomposition or recycling that is very visible from the air. She's a mountain climber. Except, you remember you were with me when that elephant fell off that termite mound? Oh, yeah. We had an elephant of about this age, I think it was a boy though, that was trying to do a bit of a scratch on a termite mound of about the same height as this one. And it rolled down, and it did a complete over the side roll. It made an enormous noise as it hit the floor, and then stood up as any human youngster would do and looked around to see if anybody saw it. And I actually think I wet myself that day. I did, well and truly. It's not funny if nobody sees. How many times have you fallen and nobody's seen, and you stand up and, okay? Oh, that brings back some funny memories. And remember, that termite mound was completely devoid of vegetation. Oh, there she goes down. It's okay, Mama. Everyone's saying it's amazing to see elephant on the termite mound. So they can climb, everybody. Don't let that fool you. They can go up. They're not very quickly. They come down a lot quicker than they do going up. Okay, well, we're going to head up to Buffelshoek and see if everything is working up there, and then we send you back over to Djuma and Lauren.
Look what's just crawled across our dashboard. Our dashboard is a very popular place to be this afternoon. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a rhino tick. It's a tick. Now, I'm just going to put my porky pointer in the frame so that you can sort of get a size estimation. It's small, but it's very large for a tick, but it's still small. And it's an arachnid. So that means they have 8 legs and not 6. So the sort of, sometimes when you're talking about insects, if you're really, really broad, you can, of course, include the arachnids. But they are... Oh, Steve's gone into Buffelshoek, everyone. It's a separate class. They are all in the phylum Arthropoda that I mentioned earlier. But this is a tick. I think this is a male. The males normally have lots and lots of spots, like a ladybug, the reverse of a ladybug. And the female only has 1 spot. And they attach onto rhinos, which is exactly why they are called rhino ticks. Which is unbelievable. That's why they're much larger. And of course, they're specialized. Rhino skin is very thick. Unbelievable. And it was questing. Questing is what ticks do to find their host. We go back to that sensory thing. Not all of them have eyes. Lindy? Mindy, you're saying yuck. No, I do know that many people don't like ticks, and I completely understand why. And they are unpleasant to think. They're parasites. It's not nice to think of something on your skin sucking your blood, but they are really essential to the ecosystem. You've sort of got to look at it from that point of view. And when the male and female mates, the female actually gets much larger. She grows in size, and this is because the eggs, of course, are developing inside of her. And then she lays the eggs on the ground. And as soon as the larvae hatch, goes back to the larvae, they look for a host, and they do this by questing. And that's when they put their 4 legs, the very, very front legs, both of them up, and they're searching for a host. They may be searching for movement, vibrations, or scent. It might not be visual. It might not be that they see their host coming and think, aha, I'm going to jump onto you. Some ticks are eyeless in the way they sense scent of the sweat on a mammal's skin, or any sort of acid on a mammal's skin, or some sense through vibrations. And rhino ticks in particular, when they are larvae, they don't look for rhinos, believe it or not. They actually look for a different host, and it's normally very, very small mammals, such as rodents or elephant shrews or something like that, and they'll feed on the smaller host until they reach the adult stage. Remember? They've got to go from larvae into a pupal stage and then into an adult stage. And then once they're an adult, they'll drop off their host. They don't need that host anymore. And they'll cling on to the vegetation, and they'll quest, waiting for rhinos. Can you believe that? Wow. So to be honest, we don't really have much to worry about with rhino ticks. Our Lara Moore, yes, it looks like a crab. Crustaceans also belong to the phylum Arthropoda. But yes, it does look like a crab. They've got a really hard exoskeleton. And yes, completely crab-like. Have any of you ever seen the Japanese spider crab? Darby, have you? Nope. I suggest you Google it. When I was at Glasgow University in the museum, they had a skeleton of a Japanese spider crab. Google it, everyone. You will be horrified. And because parasites are so hated, no one realizes the sort of importance of ticks. and they're vectors of disease. Davi looks horrified. He's just Googled it. I'm sure many of you have Googled it and are horrified. So they are vectors of disease, yes, absolutely. They pass it on. And this helps control wildlife populations. So they weed out the weak. They weed out those sort of species or individuals, that they don't want continuing on their bloodline. Look at this shadow. The tick shadow looks terrifying. My goodness. And they prevent the weak individuals from passing on their genes. And that's what it comes down to, survival of the fittest. And without diseases, areas would be completely overrun with animals who otherwise would have become ill and dead. It's control. It's nature's way of control. Yes, when humans are thrown into the mix, things get messy. But an ecosystem without any humans, disease is there to control populations. They're also a fantastic food source. Ticks, not for us, ew, but for reptiles, birds, oxpeckers, amphibians. They rely on ticks for food. And ticks are generally used by scientists as an indicator of an ecosystem's overall health and stability. So an increase in tick populations may indicate a decrease in the predators of small mammals. So they can actually look at, oh my goodness, that shadow is just terrifying. I do not know where this tick came from. Charmy, believe it or not, they're all different. Now, there's actually a tick known as the eyeless tick, and they will wait 18 years before they jump on their host. They quest like this, just looking for their host, 18 years before they get, we're back in the game. Yes, and that allows them ample time, really, to meet the mammal, drop onto the victim and gorge himself on their blood, which is not too pleasant, I know. And then the eyeless tick is ready to, of course, lay her eggs and immediately die afterwards. So not only do they not have eyes, they wait 18 years. So I don't know where this tick is going. I'm a little bit... Where did it go? Oh, here. There we go. It's not going to cling on to me, but, one must be careful. So in answer to your question, it depends on the species. There's so many different species of ticks. Some are large, some are tiny. And the scientist that I regularly refer to, UX Cole, he talks about umwelts and an animal's umwelt, if you like. And when he's talking about the eyeless tick, he says, maybe her simplicity is her strength. So her goal is so well defined, she encounters so few distractions, and that's what her strength is, that she waits 18 years for her first drop of blood. There's so many different species of ticks, and they're ectoparasites, and many people think they only sort of use warm-blooded animals like mammals as their hosts, and that's incorrect. You get really specialized ticks that use reptiles as their hosts. There's a South African tortoise tick. You also get ticks on snakes. I think we're going to have to remove this guy just in case he ends up somewhere I do not want him. Then we're going to head to the hyena den, and you guys are going to head to Swallow.
Well, that is very interesting what you guys are talking about, because ticks are incredible. Obviously, we don't like them, but they can be very specific, and very specific where on an animal certain species would like to inhabit. Whereas in these guys, on the other hand, roaming around for any type of matter. And there is 3 or 4 individuals here that are feeding on the remnants of other ground katydids. So you can see they are not fussy on what material is available. Plant matter, I've seen them eat seeds, I've seen them eat flowers, leaves, and then as well as each other. and where those movable external mouth parts are going to work now just by chomping and breaking down pieces in order for that insect to consume. Wow. So on the question that was asked earlier about the butterflies and how they communicate, so yeah, by visually, and as well as pheromones. But then, believe it or not, some butterflies are actually able to make a sound with their wings. It's not a very common thing, by my understanding, but some butterflies on this beautiful globe are able to make sounds via the wings, so also a way of communicating. If you look at certain moth species are able to make a certain frequency with their proboscis that actually tricks bees. Whereas in this, moth will make its way into a hive, in and amongst all the bees, get a quick drink, and then is out there. So insects can be very clever on how they communicate, and they can actually be so clever to fool other insects. Wow. Well, we're going to have a standoff here. Oh, here we go. He's using his hind leg, like, get away, get away. Well, it's on, guys. Ding, ding, ding. Round one. And obviously what you want to do is consume as much as possible to get to a size where you're fully mature. And animals that would eat on these insects would be large birds. Definitely large birds will consume these. Whoa, we've got a full-on fight going here now. Just defending his late afternoon lunch. Yeah, so large birds, mammals, bat-eared foxes even, and a large bird would be something like a corybus who would take out an insect as ferocious as this. Wow. They do have obviously a form of defense, is that very, very hard exoskeleton with those spikes that are on, which is like a cover plate covering the thorax. They are able to make a sound which can deter a predator, and they're also able to excrete a form of noxious fluid. Look at that. It is mine. Oh. You can see how they don't want their opponent anywhere near that prized item. It's just using the one leg. Hey, hey, hey. Wow. Yeah, dear, you are right. A food fight. Literally a food fight going on right now. And in the natural order of things, you need to be determined. If you are not, unfortunately, the system is just going to weave you out. And it does take a bold individual to push an opponent off so that you can get what you need. There's no room here to be in second place. You need to give all that you have got, basically. And you can see from this prize item that none of these, not any one of these predators want to give up on that nourishment. So those long legs being very efficient at deterring weapons right now. Oh, here comes somebody else. Three's a party, eh? Oh, he's got something there on the top right-hand corner. He didn't have to get involved. He found a little morsel stranded, so he thought he would help himself and let the two chaps on the left continue what they're doing. So look at those mouth parts going to work, and they'll consume that whole body. And obviously those jaws need to be strong enough to break down the exoskeleton. And obviously the visceral mass is taken in very, very easily. And obviously their family members, if you look at crickets and grasshoppers and locusts, especially locusts, I mean, they can consume at a volatile rate. Obviously when they're swarming, they can really do massive, massive damage to agricultural crops. And those mouth parts are so efficient of just chomp, 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 chomp. In the background you can hear this tock 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 sound. Yo! Box out! No, that larger one definitely has got the upper hand here. You can see how the smaller one came in with the reverse tactic there, to try and deter that bigger one off that meal. Jerome, could those legs do any damage? So at the end of the feet, they do have little hook-like appendages. They almost look like grappling hooks. And that enables the insect to cling and to hold on to various surfaces. But he's got it. But to each other, not really. That exoskeleton, chitin, is a very, very hardy material. And just by using the feet or the end of the foot to try and deter an opponent would not inflict any serious damage onto it. It could just be more of a, not serious damage. Oh, here we go. Whoa. Sure. Well done. Definitely has not got what it takes. Oh my word. Things are really getting heated up here now. Size would be a massive factor on how an individual would win here, definitely. And then I think just sheer determination. Your big abdomen, that individual is large. The one that's in the front view, very, very large individual. Oh, here we go. Oh, look at that. Size is everything, eh? When it comes to fighting off opponents on a carcass like this. So that large individual came in there and it was not taking no for an answer. And you can see how the leg, it must just be very, I don't know how to explain it. Just maybe gives the insect a fright with the leg coming down and hitting its opponent. Oh, that big one's taking the carcass away. So the size of that individual coming in there with the aggression that it had, you can see those two other individuals now have decided to move off, and he's going to enjoy that meal at his own luxury. Look at that. Morgan?
Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the home of Wild Earth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the Wild Earth Camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of February 2021, and you could be heading to Djuma, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature. When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature. In a world full of upheaval, we all need a quiet and safe space to breathe. A place where anxiety and stress don't exist. A place where life carries on as normal. Escape to nature with Wild Earth.
A very active hyena den. Miss Intima has got her little one. Davy got a little peek at it. It lifted his head for all of 2 seconds and went back down again, but there's definitely a little cub there. All the cubs are out. Ribbon's here doing her motherly duties, and Comet's around. And Comet was actually around this morning. I got it wrong. It wasn't Intima, it was Comet. Thank you, Michael. I don't know how I got that wrong. Comet is blind in one eye. You can see he has a, I don't know if it's missing or seriously damaged right eye. But I got it wrong. But Intima's definitely here right now. It's not Comet. And I just hope we get another view of this little cub. And I have no idea how old it might be until we see the full body size. Only then can we really, really guess. I think it's still very young though. And I think Intima might have brought it to the communal den slightly earlier because, well, she's high ranked. It's her first time. I guess she feels comfortable around here. Instinct must really kick in when you're a first-time mother in the animal kingdom. I really, really want a glimpse. I think we'll get one. The sun is out. It's absolutely glorious here, everyone. I forgot what the sun was like. Blue skies. The birds are chirping. Everybody's happy. And hopefully that means we'll get a lot more luck with the lions and the leopards. We saw Ribbon stand up as well, and she's standing well, in case you wonder what I mean. She had an injury the last time I saw her. It was quite a bad one, but she seems to be absolutely fine. You are getting far too big, lady. Please stop growing. I can't believe the change. They start to look really awkward, the cubs. They get to a stage where the legs just look too long for the body, and they just look... Oh. They just look really, really awkward. Marie generally disperse, although the percentage is said to be 97% versus 3%. But generally it benefits the males to disperse because they get a better chance of, well, mating with a whole new batch of ladies. And when it comes to mating, there was a really interesting study done where it showed that the females do have preference when it comes to what males they will choose. They're promiscuous, but they will have preference. And the most important thing was tenure. So how long that male has been around. So it's almost a sort of loyalty, trust thing. Hello? Are you just coming for a little sniff of the car? A little inspection? Just too sweet. I don't even think about looking at my shoes. And I will finish that question in just a moment. But for now, we're going to send you guys across to Pridelands.
Here we sit on the southwesternmost corner of Pridelands at that little waterhole that normally has the lesser moorhens, that we've met an old friend. There's Tungsten the buffalo, sitting patiently in the water, trying to stay cool on this incredibly humid and hot day, with his old tongue hanging right out of his mouth there, as you can see. Still able to use it. I think his jaw got damaged maybe when he was a bit younger, maybe in a fight with another buffalo. So it just sort of hangs out there. But nonetheless, he seems pretty content, pretty happy. He's got a pretty cool spot. Hi everyone, my name's Mike Anderson. Behind the camera is Gert, and you've joined us here at Eco-Training's Pridelands Conservancy. As I said, we're enjoying this waterhole and the life that's around it. It's always so nice to have the lesser moorhens here, which we've been seeing, which are quite rare. But now we've also got another friend. And we haven't seen Tungsten the buffalo for quite a long time, actually. He's been hiding, well, because of all this green grass and all the little mud wallows and water holes everywhere. There's been no need for him to be coming to these water holes, but he likes this spot because he doesn't get bothered by too many other animals. Buffalo bulls do become quite cantankerous in their old age. They don't like to be bothered. He's being bothered right now by the flies. There's a lot of mosquitoes around as well. All these water holes are breeding grounds for all sorts of small creatures. Many waterborne insects, maybe even mosquitoes bothering that buffalo in his ears. So he just keeps rocking back every now and again to try and chase them off. There was a yellow-billed oxpecker sitting on him a bit earlier, but I think that bird is probably headed off to wherever its nest hole is. I know, I'm also excited to see Tungsten. I'm glad you're all enjoying that he's back. I haven't seen him for a while. Tungsten is one of the originals from Pridelands. Way back when we first started, we discovered Tungsten as well as Kumo, the elephant bull, we haven't seen for a while, and Limpy, who was around camp a few days ago, which is super nice to see again. Limpy the elephant. Kumo is still around. It looks like there's a piece of vegetation stuck under his tongue. I wonder if that's what he's trying to get out. You see there's like a... No, he's definitely been bothered by the flies, but you can see there's a bit of green stuck under his tongue. Oh, the Tungsten, yes. You are a handsome devil, aren't you? Must be a real hit with the ladies. Perhaps that's why he's here. He's just trying to avoid all the females. You know, they pester him too much. Almost looks like he's a bit worried about falling backwards there. Oh, there goes the tongue. So you can see he's got full control over his tongue. It's just that his bottom jaw has been damaged. So I think he's only got half of the bottom jaw. And so there's no base holding his tongue in. So it just kind of flops out of his mouth. But it hasn't stopped him eating. He's in great condition. He's perfectly healthy. We've seen him with herds. We've seen him without. So it's had no lasting effect on him. I'm always amazed by how tough animals are. And it's actually why buffaloes have become one of my absolute favorite of all the African animals, because they're just so tenacious, they're so tough. especially these old bulls. At this point in his life, he's just happy to go it alone. It makes him vulnerable, though. It does make him vulnerable. Any large male or prides of lions can definitely hunt this buffalo. Leroy, I don't know exactly how old Tungsten is, this buffalo, but depending on the textbooks you read, and I suppose depending on the areas where these animals live, they can be anywhere between 15 and 20. Some textbooks say even older, but I suppose that's more like breeding projects. I would say that this buffalo is probably around about the age of 15. It's nearing the end of its life, the later part of its life, so it must be nearing 15, anywhere between 13 and 15 years old, maybe a bit older. All depends on which textbooks. I mean, no one's been watching this particular buffalo except us all over the course of the last year. To be honest, he looks tougher and stronger than he's ever looked before. Yeah, maybe around about 15. That's when they start declining, and buffaloes very rarely die of old age. Mostly be eaten by lions. Jackal? That would be quite amazing. It does look a bit like a fish hanging out of its mouth. But if Tungsten had learned to fish, that would be quite something. No, buffaloes eat only grass. Although I must say, probably feeding in the swampy grass here, I wouldn't be surprised if Tungsten, with his funny-shaped mouth, has accidentally ingested a few aquatic creatures. Wouldn't surprise me. A lot of animals eat stuff that we don't expect them to eat, that's not written in textbooks. I mean, not long ago, we know that warthogs are fairly omnivorous. We don't see them eating meat often, but not long ago I watched a video of a warthog literally chasing, I think it was a cheetah, off of a carcass and feeding on it. We certainly know that duikers, small grey antelopes, one of the smallest antelopes we find in this area, they often are seen catching things like frogs in the winter. They disturb them out of small puddles when there's not much grass and green vegetation around. They need something to fill their diet, so they'll catch things like mice, frogs, lizards, even birds' eggs. They'll smash them open and eat them. So animals will eat stuff we don't realize. But Tungsten has not got a fish in his mouth. That is his tongue. I wonder if it ever gives him a fright. Kind of just hangs out there. It has a mind of its own. He's sort of missing a piece of his tail as well. He's lived a tough life. He's definitely fought off a few lions, I think. Tracy, he's not always alone. Tracy, he was with a group of other males a time back when we last sort of were seeing him quite frequently. He was with 7 other male buffaloes, all of a similar size and age, all older bulls that are probably past their prime, no longer really necessary to stay with the herds, not really breeding anymore. Necessarily. They could be, not necessarily. But we haven't seen him with other buffaloes for a while. I actually haven't seen him for a while. This is the first time I've seen him for, many, many weeks at least, so maybe he's just been keeping to himself. Oh, there's something else next to the buffalo, just to the left of him. I thought I saw a terrapin maybe in the water. Oh, and there is our lesser moorhen. That looks like the female. Very yellow bill, kind of a brown color. See how it's just swimming across the edge of the waterhole there, looking for any insects. Remember, everyone, this is quite a rare bird. You don't often see them. And it's only now, because of this extremely wet season we're having here in the Lowveld, that we're seeing them. There's a number of other birds that we're hoping to see. Corn crake might still be around, as well as a Balon's crake, which was reported recently. All 3 very rare and unusual birds. And in fact, in this very waterhole here, there's even the possibility of a dwarf bittern. Another very rare migrant to the area, especially in wet seasons. You're just snapping up little insects from the surface of the water. And they'll dive into the vegetation, where I'm sure somewhere along the banks in this thick vegetation there is a nest. I'm almost certain that they'll... Oh, what's that? Did it just chase out? That's not the lesser moorhen. Is that a white-faced duck? The white-faced duck was in there. It seems like the moorhen just chased it out of its little vegetation there. Get your own spot. It's interesting because the white-faced duck is far larger than the lesser moorhen. Oh, what have you got? What have you found there? You can hear other white-faced ducks to the right. So there's not just this one. They usually occur in small flocks. Very cute, very pretty little ducks. You can imagine that it is a first for a lot of you at home. It was a first for me when I saw it here in this pond in Nyati Pan. It's the first time I'd ever seen one. So for those of you who don't bird frequently, it will be a very good one to see. And there's another bird that might be a first for some of you. A particularly rare bird, but it's not always seen. The knob-billed duck. We can't see it right now, but it was sitting just behind that grass verge where the white-faced whistling duck just went. Tungsten looking extremely pleased with himself. I think his eyes are even closed now. He's just busy chewing the cud. Certainly not got his eyes closed. Mike, it depends on the water hole, I suppose. If it's a very small water hole, then the hippo might not very much like it for the buffalo to come there. There's lots of water at the moment, so I don't think there's too much reason for them to fight. If the buffalo approached the water and the hippo approached it, it might just stay away. In drought times, when water holes start to get smaller, we do see a lot more fighting over that resource. I mean, water is so important to many animals, so when a hippo gets chased out of the water hole by a larger male, the young males have to go and find their own spot, and you'll find that the buffaloes will fight with each other. The buffalo will fight with the hippo. Well, I'm going to leave this water hole for now and send you over to Ingala with a fish eagle.
So have a look. We were just coming down the river to have a look and see if there's any signs of possibly lions or leopard, and we found this African fish eagle. So it's sitting on the banks of the Timbavati River, and it might be, with the river flowing at the moment, you won't be able to see it from here, but you might, if we zoom out, you'll see some of the sandbanks of the river. So it might just be waiting to see if there's any fish or anything that comes down the water, the river, and then just sit there and patiently wait and then go down and grab it. What I'd love to do is I'd love to show the viewers what the river looks like at the moment. So let's just spend another minute with this fish eagle, and then it's not a far drive, maybe another 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and we'll be able to get to the bank of the river just to show you the river that's flowing at the moment. Also, there's a good chance we might even get the sunset. So let's give it a go. I think it will be really special. I would love to show the viewers just a little bit of Ingala, as well as the Timbavati River. Now, the Timbavati River is a dry river. Only when there's a lot of rain does it actually flow. But there's always water in it. So you might even find that the elephants will go and drink or dig up the sand to get to the water, especially in the dry parts of the year, more June, July. So what we're going to do now, it's not too far. We're going to cross into the river. The sun is setting behind us, and basically stop in the river and show you this beautiful place. Now, the majority of Ingala, just want to see there's some crested francolins in the road. They've just moved off. Now, the majority of Ingala, at any given point in time, you have very close access to the Timbavati River. Or quite a big section of Ingala. So just to show you, we're going to cross in now. So just bear with me as we go down. I'll try and stop in the river with the sun setting. And who knows, maybe we can even see that African fish eagle. I'll stop right over here. So So basically, you'll see the river's actually flowing from the west to the east. So where the sun is setting, the water's coming down from the side. I'm trying to see if I can see that fish eagle again. I just want to use my binoculars. Maybe Owen and I can spot it again. I can actually see it, but it's going to be hard to navigate. But Owen, if you look on the other side, where you are now, let me just see with binoculars. Okay, go right of that, and then slightly up. Just try and go right, a little bit more. Okay, let me just put my binoculars on it so I can have another look. Okay, just zoom out a little bit, Owen. So if you go left of that now, or more right, sorry, more right. Right, and then go straight, a little bit more right, and slightly right of that. You'll see there's a tree right in the middle of the screen, and right of that top corner, I can see a patch of white. And you can see there's quite a few bugs between us and that fish. What it might be, I'm not too sure. But what an incredible scene. So just imagine having a nice table out here with a couple of drinks just to enjoy this. But while we enjoy this, let's head across to Steve with his sunset.
Welcome up to Buffelshoek, everybody. Welcome up to Big Dam, right up in the north. We're very close to the Manyeleti boundary, and well, it is that time of day where the sun is setting in the west. There are hippos in the water. They might make some noise. The birds are chirping, and I'm going to allow all of you just a moment or two to just enjoy this wonderful scene. Indeed, David, golden hour magic. You know, we yearn for the rain when it's hot and when it's dry. And when the rain comes, we yearn for the sun because it's too cold and wet. I think we all have to realize that change is inevitable. Everything will always change. You can't hold on to the sunshine because it'll change, or to the rain because it'll change, or to the water in the dam, it'll change. Life itself will change. Be blessed for the moments. Be blessed where you find yourself right now. Hippos make those sounds to laugh at my dad jokes. That's the whole reason they laugh like that. No, it's a communication, Tim. I don't know exactly what they're saying, but quite often a hippo will make that noise and his fellows will go in chorus and follow him. Different males or pods around the area, they're probably saying, hey, look, it's Wild Earth. Trying to have a silent moment. Let's make as much noise as we can. You see how they're staring at us? There's definitely comprehension there. Going, I want to be on camera. This fellow behind is going, I want to be on camera. So they don't make too much noise in the day, hippos, although they're not silent in the day, but they start making a lot more noise as the night approaches. They start getting a bit excited, you know, it's time to start getting up and start getting ready and to go out and have some food. And they're probably quite hungry after spending the whole day just lounging around in the water. And so they're like, is it time yet? And no one replies. Eventually they go, and then they all start doing that. And then I suppose they know, okay, it's time for us all to go out, to go feed on the long, juicy grass. Well, everybody, we're right up in the northeast private game reserve. Kruger Park to our east, Manyeleti to our west and north, and Torchwood and Djuma to our south, so we're about as far away from anything as you can get. Isn't that a picture? Truly beautiful, everybody. Well, these days, or sunsets just before stormy events and just after, are always the best. Obviously, when the storm is here and the clouds are here, there's no sky to see. And I feel enormous amounts of appreciation right now and after a few days of rain. It's been hard work out there trying to find animals and trying to get around in the wet and the cold. Appreciation for the warm meals and for the warm shower when we get home. And as the storm passes once again, we must remember that last week there was a huge cyclone that hit, and there are still people on the eastern parts of southern Africa and Mozambique that have lost everything. Absolutely everything. So spare a thought for them. Spare a thought for them and their lack of a warm meal or warm shower or roof over their head. And look around you and be grateful for what you have. If you're able to watch this on the internet or on the TV somewhere, I can guarantee you've got a lot more than some people do who've been affected greatly by the weather that has tormented the southeastern part of the continent the last 2 weeks. So take a thought for them. Alice, 5 years old. You want to know if there's a baby hippo there on the left, Seb? A little bit more up on the left is a baby hippo. There we go. Here's a little one. There was a little one there. I got sent a video the other day from someone who sent a YouTube link through to a baby hippo that I've never seen that size before. It was the smallest thing I've ever seen. It must have just been born. It was the cutest thing. I might try and post a link later and share it with you all if you want to see, but cuteness overload. It must have been the size of a small dog. Very small dog. You see it in comparison to Mum. It could barely walk. Came out of the water and just fell down. I've never seen one that small before. There we go. There's a little one. Not that small. So it's an interesting time with the water that's fallen, where it's fallen, how some of the watering holes are overflowing. This one is not. All about catchment, everybody. Catchment. Makes sense, doesn't it, the word? It is the area of a cup. You can imagine if you put a cup there and you rained water down, how much water would that cup catch? The bigger the catchment, let's see, he likes my comments. The bigger the catchment, the bigger that sort of cup surface area for catching the water. Oh, magnificent. So if you have a small catchment, well, Australia had that problem. They built really big dams, but their catchment areas were in the wrong place, and so they weren't catching the water. And about 10 years ago, Australia went through some very, very bad droughts due to the fact that the places that they'd allocated to catch water wasn't in the best place. I might be a little bit off on the exact facts, but Australia is also the first country in the world to go through complete catchment ecological management, which means that they've gone all the way from the mountains you see all the way at the back in the distance. That is essentially where the major catchments of the rivers are here. So their ecological management encompasses all the way to the top of the spring in the highest mountain, all the way to the ocean. So they are the first in pioneering full and exclusive catchment management. So hats off to them. While we enjoy this a moment longer, we're going to send you over to Tswali Kalahari.
Yo, there's an oryx that we spotted with a bit of headgear, looking very fashionable for the ladies, and here he comes. Oh, it is a he. Huh. It is a he. More than likely the individual is doing a bit of horn thrashing. It's normally when males are displaying their strength, also a bit of practice, and more than likely a bit of vegetation is just hooked onto his horns. Oh. Made him shy now. Come on. There's actually quite a large herd here. There's about 7-8 individuals. And they are so sharp. Just to the right here. More. There we go. Fantastic. There's a few of them, but you can see the behavior of animals here in the West is that they are super wild. No antelope stands around and allows you just to look at it. It sees or hears you, it is going the opposite way. But lovely to see oryx, or as we call them, gemsbok. This is the southern oryx, and very easily identified with those long, straight, spear-like horns. See if they come out. They should come through that little gap. Let me maybe try and move back for us a bit, Morgan. Maybe we can. Are they coming through there? Okay, let me try and move that. There we go. Morgan do a great job here, trying to keep tabs on them. Yo, look how long that one's horns are. That's more than likely a female's horns that long. Oh my word. Look at that. That is an impressive set of horns. By length, that is very, very long. Average horn length, you're looking at about between 90 and 100 odd centimeters. That is exceptionally long. I think it's child. Yes, they are stunning antelope. Morgan, as we stopped here, Morgan made the comment as well. They are just absolutely beautiful. Their markings are just so striking. And I just love that black and white face. Wow, those horns are very long. So this group is mainly consisting of females. We did see that bull with a bit of headgear. It's more than likely just associating and just having a chat with all these ladies. And they come through the next gap. But that was a very long set of horns on that female. And they are very well suited to these hot areas. Being very, very heat tolerant, or hot tolerant, heat tolerant. Barbara, do the markings on their face serve a purpose? So if you look at those beautiful black and white markings, it's definitely for recognition, for species recognition. But if you look at the marking, let's see if I can reverse quickly. Let's see if we can get another gap. You'll see that the black and white face is actually a line that runs straight through the eye, and it is actually in line with the horn. And I believe it's there to accentuate the length of the horn and to trick and fool predators. Let me just start up quickly for us, Morgan. Oh, excuse me. Let's see if we can get a better view of these lovely creatures. So yeah, that black stripe runs straight through the eye. As in, for that, besides that, sorry, I'm not too sure what other function that black and white face would serve. You'd find that rowan, sable have it as well. No, they are gone. They have moved off further to the west. So let us continue north there. We've come into this area. So rowan, sable and oryx all are presented with that beautiful, striking black and white face, which is so lovely. But what we have done is we've left that area where we were earlier with the butterflies and the fighting ground katydids, and we are in an area because another guy had spotted a cheetah, a female cheetah, and she was hot on the heels after a springbuck. So we're going to see if we can maybe line up with her and hopefully get a little sneaky peek at what she's doing.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu, Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite animal in the Kalahari has to be the aardvark. Its unique appearance, its ethology, and as well as ecology within this vast ecosystem is amazing, and something that I have been really lucky to experience on foot here at Tswalu.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
There is clearly something in the vicinity around here that's drawn their attention. Yes, that meerkat in the tree is just the coolest of cool meerkats. But watch how he battles when he comes down. That would be like me climbing a tree, just better.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feeds.
How beautiful is this scene? So we're currently looking at zebra, wildebeest, impala, and all of them are in this nice open area. Now imagine for any of the prey species, any animal that can be hunted by the potential predators, for them it's so beneficial to be in a nice open area because of the fact that they can see further. It's a lot harder for a predator to sneak up on them, and also by being different species even, you're having more eyes and more ears. So of that safety in numbers, there's a lot more eyes and a lot more ears to pick up any potential danger. And you have this relationship between the wildebeest and the zebra, where the zebra will eat the top layer of the grass, opening up the more delicious, more nutritious, shorter grass. And that's why the wildebeest are often seen feeding near the zebras. In the background, you might just hear some frogs calling. And there's you can hear some babbling casinos. There's a ring-necked dove that's calling that like work harder, work harder. You can hear the odd emerald-spotted wood dove. Now we're sitting here looking at them, but also listening out for any sounds of lions. This morning, we had tracks of 2 male lions. Possibly for those that have been watching Wild Earth for quite a while, 2 of the more dominant males in this area is called the Ross males. We heard some lions calling. Potentially it could be them. And by just sitting here and looking at their behavior, because as soon as those lions start calling, you might just have 1 or 2 or 3 of these animals lifting up there, depending on how far it is, and looking into that direction. I do enjoy the colors of wildebeest. If you look at these ones, their whole shape resembles that of a hyena, how the shoulders like slope down towards the back. See those brindle stripes around like the middle, and then quite a lot of shadows and shades around the face. See this one here, there's quite a lot of black. Now often the younger wildebeest around the face will have more brown than the black, and you'll see that wildebeest off to the right with quite a big bulge on the belly. Might be pregnant. It's hard to see if it's a male or female from here. Could either just be in a very good condition. But look at how the hair from that wildebeest at the tip of the tail runs all the way to the base. very interesting to watch. And of course, you'll see some impala, and then the zebra just off to the right. And I agree with all of you. This is just absolutely amazing. And it's incredible to think, I mean, we're sitting here and we're listening to all the noises. And there's some zebras here, there's wildebeest, there's impala, but there's also potential of any predator that could move through the area. But if you look at their behavior, even though they know there's danger around, you can see they're still relaxed. And it might be because there's no wind. Often if the wind is blowing really hard, you'll see they're a lot more on edge. They tend to group together a lot closer. And maybe because of all the other species around, some of them are feeding and some are having their head up. So you can see the one on the left here is keeping its head down. The other one, heads up in the air. This female looks like she might be quite pregnant. That's a big bulge in the belly. She might be very, very close. Now, zebras are very similar to like the period, the time. Their gestation period very close to that of a human being of 9 months. And it might be because of the size of that belly that it won't be too long before we'll see a baby zebra right next to that one. This one, the way he's standing, very proud. You can see also more stock here around the front and the back. So this is most likely the stallion. Looks like he's shivering, and all he's doing is just trying to keep rid of the flies. So look at that one just behind it again. See that size of the belly. Stacey, it all depends on what predator. I mean, if there's a pride of lions that move in here, it's going to be every animal for themselves. They're going to just run away. And if there's any family unit, like let's say these zebras here, often when they run away, the stallion would be the one running at the back. And if there's, if they eventually stop, they'll call each other and join up as a group again. But let's say a predator like a cheetah had to walk in here. Now, cheetah, because they're not the strongest of all the predators and they're more designed for speed, you might find that if they try to go for the impala, that the zebra could turn on them and start chasing them. And I have seen that before, where zebras chased cheetahs as well as warthogs. But there's, of course, no warthogs here. But you might find that these zebras, as soon as they try and get too close to the impala, that they could chase them. Now, cheetah's behavior, and this is just, I mean, it changes from one area to another. You might find in some areas the cheetahs actually hunt at night. But in some areas where the other animals, like if there's high numbers of lions or hyenas, leopards, that the cheetah tend to hunt in the day when those predators are least active or when they're not moving and they're resting. And so this time of the evening, maybe the cheetah would probably go, especially here in Ngala, and decide to just lie down until early on in the morning or in the daytime. To see these impalas moving closer towards the other ones. They were separated off here to the left, and now they're moving closer together. There's a few youngsters right here in the middle. You can see these two here, a lot smaller in comparison to the others. Might be that one that the youngster jumped to could be the mother. You can see it's just moving up to catch up again. It's so interesting whenever the younger ones split up from the rest, they have this grunting sound that the youngsters make. It doesn't really sound like an impala, and then all of a sudden the mom will respond and they'll join up. Especially in a big herd where I'm sure they could easily get confused by the sheer number of individuals, but they eventually find one another again. In the meantime, while we're enjoying this peaceful scene, let's head across to Lauren with our hyena.
Now it's quieting down here at the hyena den, and Tima left. She got a little bit startled. She left, but Ribbon's there, of course. Well, just being Ribbon. And sadly, our infrared light is not working for some reason, and therefore we won't be able to stay here much longer. It's getting too dark. Although it's still light compared to yesterday when it was very overcast. But of course, we don't use any artificial light on the animals. So once it gets too dark with no infrared, we will have to leave, I'm afraid. We got a brief glimpse of the cub, but it was almost just too brief. It's still very much in the stages of staying inside the den. And Tima keeps it very, very under wraps. She plugs that hole, if you like. They're all very good at that. And it's not quite mobile enough to start exploring. So it pops its head up, but only for a mere few seconds. And then it goes back down again. So just to wrap up what I was saying earlier, big stretch. Oh no, we're walking off. They must have heard we don't have infrared. No, we're just finding a better spot. That makes sense. So yes, the females actually choose the males based on the fact that they're immigrants. They prefer to mate with immigrant males rather than natal males. Natal males are those born within the clan, the community, and this is most likely a prevention measure for inbreeding. They prefer males, believe it or not, or maybe even amazingly so, of similar ages. This is what the study showed. Maybe this prevents mating between relatives, I'm not sure. But they prefer mating with males that are a similar age to themselves. And females show great preference for submissive males, less aggressive males. So the more submissive you are to the females, the more you bow down. You're absolutely chosen. And tenure. Tenure is the length of time with the clan. And it's sort of a much better indicator of reproductive success for males rather than rank. They don't really have a rank as such, but you can sort of see the ones that are in the best position within the males, the best reproductive success, as the ones that have been with the clan the longest. It's called endurance rivalry, and it's basically the dude who can stick it out the longest, who can stick out the abuse from the females the longest wins. And that's what it comes down to when we say tenure, endurance rivalry. I think it might be getting a tad too dark here now. I'm not sure you'll be able to see much at all, which means we have to leave the hyena den, I'm afraid. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye to Ribbon for now, and we're going to send you guys all the way down to Swallow.
Well, I think the words are not needed here. The picture speaks for itself. We are going to let you folks just absorb the beautiful scenery that we have around us for a few minutes. absolutely incredible. So this little gap to the west, and that's where the sun is just peeking through to illuminate this beautiful area of here. Now with the backdrop of those dark clouds, it is just so beautiful. You can see the exposed parts of the dune crest. Nice red, rich red earth exposed there. And then besides that, the grass and the vegetation is just dominating. The fairly large shepherd's tree there in the bottom left-hand corner. You can see its color, its appearance, its shape, sorry. And then if you look down towards those branches, you can see those branches are fairly light in color. Very thick trunk. Very beautiful old tree. Lovely. Look at that. So they too have a fairly extensive root structure. And you need to have a trick up your sleeve out here in order to survive. Taking moments like this is very important for the body, mind, soul. All the birds calling around us. But yeah, guys, great comments there. Tswalo is very unique. Think about the geological features within Tswalu, the different vegetative groups, obviously allowing this beautiful open platform for nature just to go absolutely out of control. But I find the thing that's, constant reminder every day is the scenery. Because when you drive around Tswalu, we don't have the density like other places, like Jim and that. They do have, I'm sure they do have a fair bit of density, but if you look in the western arid regions of Southern Africa, you'll find that animals are sparsely set. So over the past couple of years being here, I've really tapped into just looking and enjoying the landscape. Because it is the thing that you see the most out here. And obviously you've got to work to find animals, that's great. But having this to look at is just a privilege, and is very unique. But we're going to leave this lovely scene and let's send you over to Mark at Pridelands.
Look what we have here. We were on our way home to the HQ to close down for the evening. We bumped into a single lioness here on Marshall Road. It's pretty fantastic. We weren't expecting it. We have been talking about the fact that there were lion tracks around the area, but we thought that the two lionesses with their cubs had moved away, but it seems like one is still here. I'm not 100% sure. This might even be Lagatha, that young lioness that's always on her own. Stop for a moment. She seems to be listening to something. I wonder what she's listening for. We know there was another lion calling very, very far north. She might actually be heading towards those calling. The very edge of our hearing. This lion will be able to hear it much, much clearer than we can. also not very far from where the hyena den is. That also might be something that's caught her attention. The hyenas are just leaving the den area. Could be something that might concern her. As we know, the Pride Lands clan is very powerful. We need to be wary. It's also why we use the infrared light, so that we don't illuminate this lioness when she's moving on her own, potentially make her a target for harassment by other predators. And also, if she's hunting, she doesn't look full. So if she is on the move, she would like the very best opportunities to try and hunt successfully. The less light we can put on her, the better. But how fantastic. This lioness was walking away from the area of zebra clearings and our camp. It's quite likely she was lying up in the drainage line somewhere close to the eco-training camp. It's always quite exciting to think about. Wonder what's on her mind. It's so strange, we keep seeing lions here on Pride Lands alone, and I don't know if it's the same lion every time. It's very dark now, and I've decided not to go too close to her in case she might be a bit nervous. What we're looking for, if this is Lagatha, is for a scratch over her right eye, or left eye as we look at her, but her right eye. Last time I saw her, she had one there. Now, it's not to say that it will make a scar. That would confirm it. She's up and on the move. She's going to be moving into the darkness, and I don't want to drive the car, because there's a good chance we're going to lose signal if we do. So we'll try and follow her in a moment. But look at that. She fades into the darkness, and that's exactly what she wants to be able to do. And that's why many predators are more relaxed at night than they are during the day. You can hear the birds are not happy about it. Southern white-crowned shrikes. Alarming. Well, yes, gone into the darkness, fading into the night like a ghost. We'll try and follow her in a moment. Just trying to figure out if she's hearing something. All right, let's give it a go. Not much follow. 2 seconds. Sort ourselves out here. It was very unexpected. We're not far from home, so we thought maybe we were finished for the evening. It just goes to show that anything can happen in Africa. Where is she heading?
How incredible is that to be able to follow a lioness at night? And that's what we're hoping to do this evening. We haven't been really lucky. We've been trying to listen out, occasionally just stopping the vehicle, switching off the engine, listening to the night sound to hear if there's any alarm calls or possibly even those lions roaring, but nothing yet. No. Spotlight.
Welcome back. Sorry about that, folks. We are just going... Oh, wow! Look at that! It's a little rainbow. You see? You guys were the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. How fantastic is that? I did not expect that coming over the dune. Just wanted to change position and get another view on this beautiful and vast landscape. And I think the sunset that we are going to be gifted with this afternoon, or this evening, sorry, is going to be a magical one. There's a little bit of water falling. There's a cloud just behind us. It's also releasing a bit of water. But it's so stunning to see it. It's in the mix of the landscape. So the long shadow is starting to be drawn out. And it's almost time to say goodnight to that beautiful star that we rely on for everything. You can hear all the wattle starlings in the distance going absolutely bazonkers. They're also settling down for the evening. We've been looking for the tracks of this lady, this female cheetah that was in this area, and we have not picked up a single track. See, being a female, quite elusive, and being one that's not viewed very often, and they are very skittish. Morgan's going to show us something quite stunning here, just to our right-hand side, our southern side. Look how beautiful the sky is being illuminated. Look at that. Oh. So like we've seen before, clouds really do intensify the sunset. And now with the angle of the sun, that the rays are hitting the bottom ends and illuminating the bottom ends of these clouds. So you can actually see the true shape of them, because the illuminated parts are the lower sections and the darker parts in the middle are parts that go up where the sun isn't reaching or the light isn't touching. Very important part of the day. Slow down. Kate, they really are. They really are spectacular here on Tswalu. I've been treated to some magical moments with people from all around the world, enjoying a common love, which is nature of all aspects. But then having the time and the luxury to sit up on a dune like this now where we are and to be together just like we are is by far is the cherry on top of the cake for me is my guiding career. Because it's moments like this where you can converse and you're true to who you are and you're true about who you are. And it's nature that's allowing you to do that. But yeah, some really stunning sunsets. You can see already how that color has changed.
It's no secret that nature can heal. Some of our Wild Earth viewers are finding solace in the outdoors close to their homes during lockdown.
This is how I keep myself busy during lockdown. Beautiful little jumping spot.
I love walking in the open spaces near my home. Provides a moment of peace in a crazy world.
This is my fire escape with some of the birds I get to see. That's what it's like in New York City during lockdown.
Being in nature helps me to cope with the challenges of life and helps me to be humble and grateful.
It's magical watching everything turn into a winter wonderland as the snow softly falls.
Been doing lots of walking, dog walking, outside at parks.
This is my Ridgeback Drake. Our little slice of paradise is a provincial park called Hopewell Ross.
Connecting with nature is critical to stay positive during these tough times. Wild Earth encourages you all to find time to escape to nature.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily. Imagine having your own secluded African bush home where you and your friends can enjoy the ultimate safari experience. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer, this could become a reality. Tumbeta House is located in the heart of Djuma Private Game Reserve, the home of Wild Earth. You could win a chance to stay at this intimate wilderness retreat, offering you the rare and highly sought-after privilege of your own home in the bush. The prize includes 3 nights for 6 people and includes daily game drives, a chance to see the Wild Earth camp, and have dinner with one of our guides. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer before the end of February 2021, and you could be heading to Djuma, the place that we call home. Available dates are limited, so terms and conditions apply.
Wow, the sky is on fire. Don't worry, everybody, I've got a fire extinguisher. Sorry. But looking absolutely stunning. I've just turned the vehicle around quickly with Morgan, just so that we can be facing that beautiful setting sun. And we can really enjoy the true wonders of the sunset. It's getting very, very chilly. The temperature's dropping very quickly this afternoon. It's also because we've had a constant breeze blowing in from the north-northeast. And obviously with that Sam, what makes that color? So Sam, it is because we are spinning and the angle of the sun is starting to change. And where the rays are projecting, where the sun rays are going to, is to the underside of the cloud. And so now that the light is touching and exciting that cloud, that's the beautiful color that we can see. It's from the sunlight's rays, or the light itself, illuminating the underside of these clouds. And clouds really are very pretty when we have a sunset like this. What a great question, Sam. So we've had this dominant cloud cover for the majority of the day, and that's where we haven't had enough solar radiation touch the terrestrial basis. And so now you'd find that these early evenings would be a lot cooler than, for example, if we had a clear day. Whereas in tonight, I think the temperature is going to be fairly chilly. Oh, look in front. Cape Fox. Oh, you see it? Sorry, guys, about the sunset. I just want to go forward. We just have a beautiful little Cape Fox that just crossed the road. Let me just see if I can roll forward for us very quickly. They just crossed the road in front of us right now. Let's see if we can just sneak a little peek of this little animal before. Gone. Fleeting glimpse. Worth a shot, though. A little Cape Fox, as we were enjoying the sunset together, a little Cape Fox just darted across the road. Well, it's been absolutely magical sharing this afternoon's sunset safari with you folks, and thank you so much for your time and the questions and the comments. It's been magical. And please be sure to join us tomorrow for our sunrise safari to continue this beautiful journey together. And I mean, how better? We couldn't have it better to end this afternoon's drive. Kalahari is singing its goodnight songs, getting all the birds starting to settle down, giving their final say. And from the top of these dune crests, we have such a beautiful vantage point to see super far west. When that next dune is, or the horizon that you can see over there, that is very, very far. The light's starting to dull down a bit there now, and you can see now the night really taking hold. Wow. Well, you guys are awesome, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.